welcome back to the Couch Command. We have another Geek Out Shootout. We're going to be talking about everything. And once again, it's just going to be the two of us. It's myself, Keith Justice. You can find us on popgeeks.com. And I have Isaac.
Hey, thanks for having me on again for a random assortment of a grab bag of what's going on right now.
Cool. Yeah, you can find Isaac on the YouTubes at Lobster Magnet Reviews. And, he has one of my favorite channels. So please check him out.
Oh, thank you.
All right. So, where do you want to start? Because, there's going to be, a main meat of this, which is, Doctor Strange, that has kind of, made me want to talk about the attack of the Megaverse that's happening to pop culture lately.
Let's start with Doctor Strange, because I remember originally you kind of wanted to do a podcast on that, but people weren't necessarily available for that. And so let's dive into it before it becomes completely irrelevant.
Really quickly, before we get there, I just want, doing the geeking thing. At least just, one thing. What have you been geeking on lately?
Let's see here. I've been enjoying The Boys. Boys is back. I'm loving The Boys. I think it's completely underrated with its satire. I love the the woke corporate festival with BLM, BLTs,
Cool.
woke walk, which just feels like the most recent episode had a really funny parody of the Kylie Jenner Coke ad with A-Train, which I thought was hilarious. And recently, a new manga series started. So, have you ever heard of? All right. So let me give you this title, and let me see if this is something you'd read. Super Smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Would you read a manga called Super Smartphone? What kind of title is that? What do you say?
It has it has my curiosity.
I'm surprised it has your curiosity. It sounds stupid.
Our audio's getting messed up.
Is it? I can still hear you.
Okay, cool.
Hello?
Yeah, we're good now. Oh, yeah, it does have my curiosity. Because for me, there's a live action Japanese TV show called it was about a super smartphone that could turn into a robot, and they went on these cyberpunk adventures. So I already love a TV show like that.
So, all right, you're more positive. I'm thinking of In Another World with a smartphone. I just think it sounds dumb, but I was amazed when I read the pilot chapter of this. It's a new Jump series, and basically, it's about this sort of kid who gets a super smartphone. But what it does is it lets him research anything. So classified information, logs of what people have shopped. So basically, just imagine information battle Death Note.
Okay.
So it's about this kid with the power of a super internet search engine, and he's getting these mysterious points for some undisposed known purpose. And there are other smartphone users, so he's in a death battle game against the other smartphone users, and right now he's trying to use that smartphone to solve crimes, affect things. But these smartphones, they're super powerful. Information is power. It gives you access to classified government documents. So it's only 5 chapters. It's really, really recent, but I'm very surprised with how strong it is so far. So I'm hoping they can don't jump the shark, and then the smartphones give them superpowers. And it still remains real world. That's always I always love high concept premises. It's just a question if you can keep going or if you'll screw yourself up in the long term. So right now I'm rooting for it.
All right. Yeah, great. What's it called again?
Super Smartphone.
All right. Yeah. I like there's a lot of tokusatsu shows where smartphones are their main weapon, so. And the show I was talking about is called Keitai Sosukan 7. And it's pretty fan-fucking-tastic. A teenage boy comes across a robot phone, and they, run across adventures, and the robot phone hacks computer systems. And then there's an evil robot phone in the show called 01. Anyway, so I recommend it.
I'll keep that in mind. Is it a whatchamacallit, a Sentai thing?
it's a tokusatsu. It's just is just Japanese live action. No super suits. It's just this organization that for some reason developed these AI phones that allow them to do fight cyber crimes in Japan.
Mm.
And like the first one they created went rogue. It's a black evil phone with like a red face. It was fantastic. Oh my god.
So what have you been enjoying lately?
Let's see. The main thing I've been loving is my Space He-Man. I've been watching.
Oh, that's also something I'm kind of curious. What do you think? For reasons I don't understand, Kevin Smith's getting another He-Man season.
Oh, that is explained by South Park. You see the last South Park movie?
Oh yeah, the streaming wars.
Yep. Like that is the final answer to why all these shows that like people hate and then like don't like you'll see articles where like the ratings really aren't that good. It's because it doesn't matter if they're good or not. Like the name of the streaming game is watching subscriptions go up and there's just always something new coming out.
Well,
doesn't matter if it's good or not.
Here's the complete puzzle, the missing piece to that puzzle, because I did enjoy the streaming wars of South Park. Netflix lost a shit ton of money. They missed their subscriber thing. The stock tanked. And there's a huge change of house going on in Netflix right now. The animation's getting sliced. Netflix put their foot down saying, like, progressive activists, if you don't like it here, go work somewhere else. And to Netflix's credit, I think they've, like, taken a stance against both right and left. They kept the Ricky Gervais and the Dave Chappelle stuff up. But for all you lefty peoples, remember Cuties and how right people were complaining about that, and they wanted to get this French woman, this black French woman's directorial debut taken down because it talked about the concept of over-sexualizing children, even though it wasn't over-sexualizing children. Netflix stood their ground, and they kept that. So there you go. I hope that. I mean, no one ever seems to like cite that as an example of Netflix supporting, the good people. But, they took that stance for left-leaning and right-leaning. But anyway, the point is that, like, there isn't as much cash to go around. So I think they're going to be forced to do a position where they just can't greenlight everything and keep on getting a mountain of debt. So I guess maybe this was, like, done. This was done in the old regime.
Okay, so then, like, there's the other layer that I felt like I was noticing before, which is creating a money pipeline that maybe is harder to break than it is just to keep having and getting more material. So like with Alex Kurtzman's Star Trek, like he made Discovery and then like all these things just kept on getting announced and developed. So that I think that like the invested money got tied into creating like a pipeline of like creation that would be way like more money to break. Is just to keep like, having it go. And they did all that work to create Kevin Smith's materials. That why not just use it again?
You could be right in that regard, that this is like something that was decided way back months ago, and this is a part of the pipeline. And whatever money they have in that Kevin Smith second season of He-Man, because I know like the way Netflix animations work is they typically like produce 2 seasons at once, and then they release them at different times, even if the show doesn't do well. Like, for example, have you ever seen the Pacific Rim, The Black?
Not yet.
I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I enjoyed it as Pacific Rim stan, but I would never call it good. It's just like a little leftover for people who are still rooting for Pacific Rim to become a thing, even though...
I did like Pacific Rim, too.
Did you?
Yes. That was actually fun to me.
I as someone who like even the first Pacific Rim, like I want to like it, but it's not perfect. Right. I think Guillermo del Toro isn't like very good at like broad blockbuster entertainment. He's more good at like creepy weird stuff.
You're saying what you can't. You're not supposed to say that out loud. Like no, Pacific Rim, that first one is a perfect masterpiece that you just don't get. But no, you're right. Like the first to me, like I liked it a lot. I admire it deeply, but I actually couldn't put my finger on like what's missing from it. And then Pacific Rim 2 went, hey, if you like Robot Jocks and want to have more fun than Robot Jocks, Pacific Rim 2, and I loved Robot Jox, and I just want to see some fun with some monster fighting, and I saw some great choreography and set pieces. I bought like most of the toys, robots from there. I love the designs. So
Oh, the designs were always fun. I was always kind of hoping it would become a thing with like people with names like Gypsy Danger and Coyote Tango, but it never quite caught on. It was just annoying because, like, I'd say, like, for all their faults, they're still, the Pacific Rim franchise is better than the Michael Bay Transformers franchise. It's less hateful and spiteful.
Yes.
But, I never quite understood why the mass audience is like, yeah, fuck yeah, Transformers.
If that's what you want, like, I highly recommend getting into an Ultraman. Like, that is the kind of direct fun that you get, like, with named, like, monsters. The monsters are as, like, well known as Pokemon and named heroes, and what a Titan is versus the Ultraman and the ships and the organizations. And
I'll say this much. I am 100% going to watch whenever Hideki Anno's Shin Ultraman is widely available. I'm looking forward to that.
I've heard it's bad.
Really?
Yep. My friend in Japan, we had a conversation just the other day because like he's doing a little roundup of Ultraman toys for me, and he said, "Oh man, I forget. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can find it." But mainly, he says the reason why it did so well is because Japan has been like hurting. They've been like dying. Like the COVID thing was brutal, and finally they get a reason to go out and reconnect with something that's familiar with everybody. But like if you're like a Ultraman fan or Tokusatsu fan, and you're looking at what you're seeing, something about like it's not really actually a good movie.
Interesting. I'm very curious to see it. Just because I'd loved what he did with Shin Godzilla so much. Mm-hmm. Did you ever watch that anime series, that weird one that came out last year, the Godzilla Perfect Point, or the anime on Netflix?
Yeah, 0 Point.
I think that's what it was called.
It's more of my weirdness. Like I turn my nose up at it because I don't want to see my stuff made realistic.
Singular Point. There you go. That's what it was.
There you go.
I didn't. It was not great. So.
Oh no. Because I want to get around to like giving that stuff a try.
You might like it. I just thought it was kind of a weird, interesting mess. So you might find value, but I did not think it was great. But anyway, so so go back to the things you were geeking out at. Let's refocus.
Okay, and like my friend, I found what he said. Like he fell asleep during the movie, and he says expensive actors, nice CGI does not save a horrible story, but everybody in Japan is just dying for like some joy, and this was it. So yeah, we'll see how it turns out to be. All right.
So tell me more about Space He-Man.
Okay, so I think like much like with The Last Jedi, where like somebody comes into the property and stomps it out, and it turns into like this bitter like argument of people like saying, if you don't like it, then you're on this side of the political line, and that's what Revelations was, and it grossed me out. Last Jedi did that, grossed me out. So like then I like usually turn my focus towards like, okay, let's try to remember what did we love about this stuff, and like find something that's adjacent and find joy in it. So like I went and like down the science fiction well with Dune and Three Body Problem, and like holy hell, I reignited my love of science fiction, which is why I used to love Star Wars. And then He-Man, like were you ever a He-Man fan?
Not super, but apparently there was like a Space He-Man that was whatchamacallit.
Yep, to me, Universal reviled Space He-Man. So like the path went for me as a kid. I was like one of the first He-Man fans. Like the toys got to me, and there's comics, and in the comics there was like some like darkness and sexiness that like we feel like our parents didn't know were in there. So like when like second or first grade, we come to the playground with them going, "Holy shit, you can see He-Man peeling off Teela's bra," and like we were just like, it was amazing. And then the cartoon comes and brutally toned everything down. But it was charming. We all loved it. And then Scott Knight showed like the downfall of He-Man, which was, I remember it being kind of furious that like they stopped making new He-Man episodes and they kept on just making She-Ra. So I was like, where's He-Man? So then like, yeah, that's how you fell out of it. And then He-Man crashed and burned. And eventually they made new Space He-Man. And by then, I think everybody who's in He-Man was about just to go to high school. and you're already scared and angry, and you're changing, and fucking Space He-Man's on. What is this? And like you're so mad that like the Space He-Man says He-Man has been thrown into a far future to save mankind, and you're like, wait, what? We're not seeing eternity anywhere, and like, nope, like everything you loved about He-Man is just fucking gone.
So basically, like, it almost sounds like it reminds me what happened to He-Man with Space He-Man is kind of like what happened with Spider-Man with that weird where he goes to like the animal planet and he's got to fight the animal people.
Yep. But like if you come like so like at that point of all of our lives, like we don't want to be fucking bothered with it. Everybody got so mad, and like it became like a He-Man that like no fan ever speaks of ever again. And then like now that I'm I'm older, time has passed, and like I was gonna give it an honest try, and found out it's fantastic. It's basically He-Man Isekai. They really did do it where you had He-Man in the first episode where he was on Eternia, and then you get to see for like 56 episodes what would happen if he's ripped from his world and put into a new fantasy world.
And you've just been enjoying the experience, considering it's an underrated gem. So
yeah, watching it with my friends, like we had like this. There was like this old school kind of enjoyment that we used to have, where, like 90s, 80s, you watch something, and then like there's animation spikes where like right here, all of a sudden the animation gets wild and awesome, and He-Man had that, so it was like fun to work your way through like some more rough stuff or see them try really hard with little means to make stuff look good. And there's actually like it's the first time He-Man's had like continuity.
Oh, that's
great
interesting.
World building, yeah, the great world building, and also something I remember a long time ago when I first got onto forums, being warned or told, yeah, if you're gonna watch Space He-Man, be prepared for a lot of starfighter dogfight action. And yeah, it's really weird to sit down and enjoy He-Man with him trying to get used to flying a starfighter and dogfighting against Skeletor like almost every episode.
Well, here's a hard question to ask. I think the pinnacle of like a Saturday morning cartoon sci-fi was Exo Squad, which I'm still amazed there isn't like a fan culture of people who like reappraised Exo Squad. Yep. Maybe someday I'll do a video on it.
Yeah, Exo Squad was amazing.
Yeah, I'm still amazed that like I think that deserves to be brought back and rediscovered. Is Space He-Man as good as Exo Squad?
Absolutely not.
You?
Absolutely not. No. Exo Squad was like that was an epic. That was like seeing Babylon 5 before it happened. Like they really really cared about the Space He-Man is season 3 of Transformers. That's what it is. Where like everything goes futuristic, animation gets a little more wild and fun, and there's like a lot more creativity, but it's far away from what's expected from the franchise, and therefore it can turn a lot of people off.
Yeah,
if you're just in for it for the fun and can go with the concept, then you're in for like great 80s nostalgia fun where it's kind of like on the level of like a Mask or Visionaries.
All right. Well, good find on your part. Hope you sounds like you're having a good fun. Anything else you're reading that or watching that's you're geeking out on?
Let's see. I'll say two other things really quickly. One of them is being kind of disappointed with how good Star Trek Strange New Worlds is, because I've been used to being able to like, there's like a feeling of superiority that it did give, where like Star Trek would just like objectively fuck up, and like it was fun making fun of it. And Strange New World has now marched onto the scene, and like it's genuinely good. And that's really cool.
It seems like people are really enjoying it, and it seems like to be a better throwback to older Trek values than new Trek's been.
They have figured out how to bring back the formula people loved, and it's happening.
Which is nice to see. I don't know if that's like an anomaly within the new Trek scene, but here's the bigger question for you as a Trek aficionado. Do you think it's whatchamacallit, better than what you've been getting with the Orville, or on par?
Oh yeah, that was interesting. So because like now I'm like gonna be like having a kind of like head to head on like Friday nights, I think. And so far like up to this point, Orville has been running circles around what they've been doing with Star Trek until now.
Now there's a real competition.
Yep, I've been like a Orville stan for a while. God bless them, and then like just doing straight head to head with the episode they released. The Strange New Worlds has inched ahead by a hair, and just like, cool. All right, now it's like a real shootout. Let's go.
Let's see if Seth MacFarlane has to step up his game. Who's gonna have the best? You should have a little segment in your Star Trek podcast. Who has the best? What's it
episode?
Called? Well, no, not the best. Well, that too. But who did the better? What is the famous thing? Who did the better Prime Directive conflict?
So what's funny is like I do want to bring it up in my I do like other Star Trek podcasts. There are 4 hosts, and I do want to bring it up, but like most everyone on there don't watch the Orville, so yeah, they're like a lot of Star Trek fans just don't want to give it a try because when it was first advertised, it looked like it was just going to be Seth MacFarlane doing Galaxy Quest. Everybody thinks it's a parody.
Yeah, that feels like what he did to like get the show made, but
yep.
Even though it was like a backdoor excuse for like Seth MacFarlane to just play Next Generation.
Exactly. So yeah, people don't give it a try. So yeah, we'll see if I can get that conversation going. And then let's see. Lastly, the other thing I want to say I've been geeking on is, have you ever seen The Good Place?
No, but I hear it's like considered to be one of the best of the new generation sitcoms.
Yep, it's as good as people have been like screaming to me for years to see. Like, because it's a sitcom on like the normal stations, I just kind of disregard like, okay, how good could it be? Like, they're kind of like constrained over there about what kind of jokes they can't make and how creative can they really get. But yeah, they so whatever combination they got going on here, they figured out an incredible formula to make one of the best shows I've ever seen. So
I've heard that it's like very good, on par with Community when it was on at its height. I still need to eventually, as a Dan Harmon fan, go back and watch the episodes of Community. One of these days, get it as long as it stays on Netflix.
Yeah, I'll say that. It reminds me of Community, but not like how. I'm not sure if I would say the tone is the same as much as like it's like, oh shit, some pretty badass creativity can still take place on the normal networks.
Yeah, which is, as most people consider, like to be the most bland, uniform television possible.
Yep.
Cables were the real cool shit, and now streaming, they have no censors.
Exactly.
Watch this guy crawl on this guy's dick.
Yeah, but and have you ever seen the cannibal guy, Hannibal?
Yeah, I heard that was a really good series.
I highly recommend cranking that one to the top of anyone who hasn't seen this list of something you need to see, because that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And it was the conversation you could have around of like, wait, how did they get away with this on national TV? Like, there's gruesome shit in there that I haven't seen in gruesome movies.
Well, and my theory is I think the Walking Dead kind of like started this gore arms race. When Walking Dead made it so like 10-year-olds were like watching like zombies munch on guts, which was like originally considered to be like a taboo. Yeah, have you never seen some of the gore they got away with Walking Dead?
I shouldn't imagine. Like, I never thought, like, I got tired of it. And then I never imagined that it was that well widely watched.
What point did you go? I mean, now it's kind of like in its waning thing, even though there's like 5 bajillion spinoffs. But, during its height, like, there's some ridiculous, like, George Romero, Dave the Dead gore, with pig guts and intestines and the real hardcore zombies.
Like, it had high enough ratings that, like, it was, like, your normal person seeing this in that
exactly.
kind of, like, interesting culture that,
and it sort of made it mainstream, or at least put it to the point where, like, more people were, like, willing to see gore. And I feel like that kind of forced other networks to try and compete. Because, like, back in its day, it was getting like 10 million views, which, like, for a cable channel, was like an astounding, like, 2 or 3 million is considered to be really high for cable. And, even in its like mid tier, it was still getting like 6 million. I'm sure now it's like, half that. But I was still very impressed with how much they got away with. I don't blame you for ducking out.
A perfect samurai swing of gore and some of the greatest acting, writing, directing a TV show's pulled together. And yes, like I said, anyone who watched it, this apparently aired on normal television and
network television.
Yeah. So, that's what I've been geeking on. So what we're going to do is take a quick break. We're going to save this file here and come back on the other side. We're going to go into Doctor Strange and then just fire away at Megaverse stuff across franchises we've been watching. All right.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, since this is a grab bag, you want to discuss Halo and Obi-Wan?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. That'll be our hit list. Halo and Obi-Wan. And is there anything else?
Obi-Wan. That's exactly what I've been wanting.
And then maybe like a few little impressions of. I don't know. What do you think of Miss Marvel so far?
We can talk about that too, and also in this discussion that like made me think this is going to be a real thing that we should be talking about. Did you see Chippendale's Rescue Rangers?
Yes. Oh God, yeah, we got to talk about that.
Rock on! All right, we'll see you guys on this side.
Someone once told me that the reality I thought I knew was just one of many.
Be careful which paths you travel down. Stronger than you have lost their way.
You think there will be no consequences?
We're in the end game now.
I sacrificed everything. And it meant nothing.
Oh, Strange. What have you done?
I never meant for this to happen.
You cannot control everything.
You brought this on yourself.
You break the rules and become a hero. I do it and I become the enemy. This doesn't seem fair.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Rated PG-13. Be the first to see the mind-bending phenomenon in premium large format and IMAX tomorrow.
All right, and we're back. Okay, so we're here first to start off the Megaverse conversation with what did you think of Doctor Strange?
I thought it was okay. I enjoyed it, but like for something that I was kind of hoping would be like the Avengers of Phase 4 and bring everything together in the multiverse that I was hoping would go buck wild. I was a little bit underwhelmed. It feels like the only Multiverse of Madness we got was that 3 seconds where they go to the paint dimension and some other stuff. And then the rest was like a pretty linear Marvel movie. With a really simple conceit that, like, bad people want to get America Chavez, and Doctor Strange has to stop them from getting America Chavez. And then he does. Woo! It seems like you have a little bit more of a positive impression of it. There are positive superlatives in it. Like, I liked the Raimi getting to flex his muscles. I liked the Necro Doctor Strange. I thought he was pretty metal with the cape of like skeleton hands. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed the horror sequence of just seeing the Illuminati get curb stomped by Wanda. I like the highlight. I wish that all of them were as graphic, like as the Black Bolt was a great death, but Professor X, I feel like I wanted her to see more than just snap his neck. But I enjoyed seeing Captain Carter be brought in. But I'm still also kind of disappointed. I was hoping that we were going to get superior Iron Man, Tom Cruise, and all the other crazy rumors that were coming out. But I heard that this film had a really troubled production cycle. So I guess Marvel's happy that they just got a working movie. It looks like it's going to get close to $1 billion. So success on their part and success for Raimi. So, I don't know why he doesn't do big films. But, Raimi, I miss you. I always thought you're the undisputed king. Raimi's
amazing. I remember finding him. It was like I remember like where I was sitting. I was like, parents' living room, and like I was changing channels, and then the camera is doing the Raimi zoom ins, and like it's the part where just before he starts putting on his chain sword, his chain sword hand, chainsaw hand.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first introduction to Sam Raimi, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" like up to that point, no one was getting that wild with cameras, and also it was a trope back then for me that in horror, the last person standing isn't a guy ever. Like, and yet the guy who's still the last person standing is also a goofball. Like, yeah, God, Sam Raimi.
Was that Evil Dead 2 or Army
Yes.
of Darkness?
Evil Dead 2 was my first introduction to him.
Oh, there you go. That is peak Raimi.
Yep, we were like, I was like, something just changed right here, and so I'm a big fan of him. And I think that like his last movie, like I think it was like the Oz Brave and Bold or something.
Yeah, where he basically just made Army of Darkness only with I never saw it, but
it wasn't good. I love him. And like,
I'm surprised he isn't given more creative license to do stuff. I guess that's probably half the reason why he's quasi-retired.
I feel like that last movie took a lot out of him, and he was like, you know what? Because like, yeah, you watch it and like, just shortcomings and flaws everywhere. But your love, the part you can't help but love is like you can still, it's still got the Sam Raimi flavor. So you're like, all right, cool, yeah, this is all right. But like when you step back and like think back on the movie, you're like, oh man, I don't know what happened there. But
well, I feel like what happened generally for Raimi is that like he had such a miserable experience with Spider-Man 3 that it kind of like scared him away from like big budget filmmaking forever.
That would make sense.
And I guess he made enough money; he can do whatever the fuck he wants. And he did do that movie Drag Me to Hell.
Yes.
So he's not incapable when he feels like it. But I guess I'm sad that like Raimi isn't doing like $20 million budget or $30 million like why isn't he making like Jordan Peele movies?
So what I think is like what I've been seeing is and then I'm going to tell you what I think of Doctor Strange movie. But what I think is like I've been seeing the trajectory of careers lately going. The Marvel stuff really isn't art. It's not like where people get to really feel proud of what they create. So like they go through this course where they like they keep trying like on their own, and the world's kind of changed and their stuff isn't exploding like they used to. This is what they were saying is going on with Natalie Portman coming back, because like her movies haven't been doing that great. And even though Annihilation, have you seen Annihilation?
Yes, I have.
Holy, did you love it? Because
I thought it was pretty good. I thought that was a pretty goddamn good movie.
Yeah, I that was running around the room cheering for me type of great movie. But like they're not doing successfully financially, so you can always, it seems like you can always come to Disney for a fat ass paycheck and like royal treatment, because like I've been noticing that with like with Harrison Ford and even like Ewan McGregor, even where with George Lucas, God bless his soul, it sounds like maybe making movies with him isn't the best experience. And when they're done with it, they're like, yeah, I'm just fucking done. But if they have like a fun thing that's going to be done for them in the future, like with Disney, like all of a sudden, like Harrison Ford seems kind of happy to help work with Disney.
Yeah, that I was so surprised considering like how publicly done he was with Han Solo. Like I still think it's weird that he's like it would have any cooperation.
I think it's because of with George, like it's like a thing like with in Star Trek where the first Star Trek movie, the motion picture, which I love and is greatly misunderstood, but apparently like the experience of making it was just abysmal, and it was so bad that's why Larry Nimoy demanded that he be killed off. He's like, I don't want to do this ever again. Get me out of here, please. But then in Wrath of Khan, presented with a different experience, he has so much fun in Wrath of Khan that he was like, can I come back, please? So, like, with George Lucas, he made, like, and making good art, that lasts to me sometimes can be a difficult and uncomfortable experience, and that's what George Lucas probably does. And then like they're just done with it because like, did you see this like video of like Ewan McGregor talking about how done he was with Star Wars?
You'll have to link that to me. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I'd probably really enjoy that. I'd be curious to see.
It's beautiful. It's from 2016. It's in a Robot Head video where younger Ewan McGregor is just kind of like, he is so blissfully carefree and happy. And he's like, I don't see why anybody wants to go back to Star Wars. It like, you know, I've done what I did there. It's I'm completely done. Like I just don't even understand why people are so connected to it. Is what he's saying. And
so did Robot Head get like find like an old clip and then use it in the video?
Yep.
I'll check that out.
From 2016. It's really good. But now, like I think Disney really does roll out the red carpet because he could not be happier to be coming back to Kenobi now. And
they're treating him well. They're eating him good. But we'll get into later whether or not that was any good or not.
Yeah.
What did you think of Doctor Strange?
All right, Doctor Strange. Also, I'm kind of like sad. I'm disappointed with how okay it was. Because like, yeah, like I'm like when I heard Sam Raimi was taking it, I was like, oh shit! Like we're gonna turn this up. This is exactly the right mix I want.
Oh yeah, I was super excited when I heard that he was like coming back. Oh perfect. Yeah, Multiverse of Madness. It's going to be ball to wall. Sam Raimi with $200 million. Fuck yeah.
But what I felt I saw, it felt like it didn't. I felt what I saw didn't matter. Like
yeah.
So here's like the way that the two feelings of what's happening that I'm seeing is like in the first Iron Man, the final beat is you didn't think you were the old superhero, and you're like Samuel Jackson as Nick Fury, blah, holy shit, we're doing this, and like building up all the way through like to Endgame, like you could feel this shit mattered, and here, oh my god, we finally got to see Xavier and like the Illuminati. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, that is bumped off as it almost is a joke.
That's a big issue with Phase 4 in general, is that like not having a connectors or a big bad makes it all feel formless. That like I don't know what the extended payoff is. You know, it's going to be Kang the Conqueror and the Multiverse of Madness, and maybe it was supposed to be. I look forward to reading that book about the behind the scenes of how this movie was a shit show and all the real candid details of people who don't want to lose their jobs. But it feels like the defining epic. This was not it. This was as boilerplate of a Marvel, and then on the seams we got like a little bit of Raimi craziness, which were fun but not quite enough to like carry the whole movie.
Yeah, and I think that that's like a thing that like now Marvel fans think is going to keep happening. That's what they're hoping for and wanting. Like when you see that Patrick Stewart is showing up as Xavier, it means something because holy shit, this is happening. X-Men, we're doing this. Instead of it was just a fun cameo. It was like, and then like
with John Krasinski as Reed Richards.
Yep, and like I'm not sure if I talked about it on the podcast. Do you remember? Did you watch how John Krasinski was supposed to be Captain America?
No. Is that like a documentary or?
It shouldn't be because like okay, so what's funny is like I've been following like nerd news like this for all the time, and so leading up to casting Captain America, there was a shootout between this one guy who was in Speed Racer, Chris Evans, and John Krasinski, one other person. And then but leading way ahead of everybody was John Krasinski the entire time. And then the news finally came out that basically we have decided it. It's fucking happening. John Krasinski's gonna be Captain America, motherfuckers! Woo! And the internet exploded with rage and fear and hate. There's this classic picture of this cartoon of basically Jim from The Office dressed in a really awful Captain America costume because that's what people were hearing. Jim from The Office is going to be Captain America. What the hell are you guys talking about? And after that explosion, all of a sudden, all mention of him being Captain America disappeared. And Chris Evans, it's Chris Evans, guys. Don't worry about this. It's Chris Evans, and I wanted Scott Porter. It was his name, Scott Porter. He was in Speed Racer. I wanted him. I didn't get the guy I wanted, but I think as a apology and trying to bring around the sorry, we kind of guaranteed you're gonna be Captain America, but here's Reed Richards, and I think that's what they're maybe doing.
To
and
me,
that's why he's
I felt. I mean, possibly, but I felt like him as Reed Richards was more like, you know, oh, John Krasinski, you proved yourself in the Quiet Place movie as the daddening. You are the ultimate dad, so here's the ultimate dad role.
Or also, like, we promised you're going to be the leader of the MCU. Here's Reed Richards is the next leader of the MCU. So now we got another role for you, buddy. Sorry we fucked you over, but now you get to be the next leader. At least if they continue with keeping him as Reed Richards.
I mean, it's the multiverse. There could be multiple Reed Richards, so it's not impossible to have him. So, you know, he could come back, and this could be all a big screen test. He was definitely a big get. Although I was also really annoyed. I was kind of excited that the kind of mediocre What If cartoon was somehow going to be canon, that we were going to get like the evil Doctor Strange from there. And nope, it's just another Doctor Strange who's evil.
Okay, are we positive of that? Because like
I checked, they said it was a different. Benedict Cumberbatch said it was a different Doctor Strange.
I feel like that was almost a little bit of an illusion then, because I couldn't tell. Like I think that might be on purpose to, like, I don't know, these people who aren't paying that close of attention, you get to link it up even though it's not actually linked up.
I mean, the characters are so like vaguely defined, and he becomes kind of a good guy, so he might as well just be like Hot Topic Doctor Strange, who's like slightly eviler. But like you could tell that the costume's different, the mannerisms are slightly different. So when I looked into that, I was like, fuck you. I would have that would have been fun to like actually make the mediocre What If kind of count in the Multiverse of Madness, or you know, I guess we're all supposed to assume that like all this is happening because the TVA was disbanded by female Loki. But
I don't know about that, because like I don't know about that. I feel like what we're seeing is I saw something about like Kevin Feige really not being as hands-on as he used to be, and I'm seeing a fracturing of everybody trying to make their thing the most important thing.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It does feel like everyone wants to have like their handprint on the MCU, and Kevin Feige might just be like, one, he wants to like apologize and make up for the fact that, like, you know, the MCU was built on the back of the pillar of the three strong straight men. So he's letting everyone in, which inherently isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
But by the same token, you kind of have to have a game plan and payoff. And it doesn't feel like there's a payoff or there's as much communication. Because what was the big issue? And I'm trying to remember. There was another thing that, like, Wanda, it felt like her character arc didn't quite line up with what we saw at the end of WandaVision.
It didn't. So what I think, there's another thing that I think is going on is I heard that what we see was a massive reshuffling of reshoots, and what I think happened was there was like this development of a Doctor Strange movie that they were doing, and then I think it was, okay, I could be totally wrong, so I'm just speculating. But what it looks like is like suddenly Elizabeth Olsen wants to renegotiate her contract. So, oh shit. So if we want to make sure that there's no leverage and like expectation of her coming back, clean the playing field, make sure it looks like she's gone by the end of this. I don't care what you're doing with your Doctor Strange before, reshoot this so it looks like she's gone. And that's what I saw. Like everything bent toward getting her off the board.
Yeah.
Even though it didn't line up with like WandaVision, I see a little business going on.
You're probably right. She's been very public saying that she's had to turn down other opportunities for the MCU, and she wasn't super happy about that.
She said that?
Yeah, in an interview, she publicly said that, like, because of the time commitment to all the Marvel stuff, she had to turn down other like really meatier roles that she would have kind of like wanted more. And she was kind of annoyed about that the MCU was so all-consuming.
Yep.
And, you know, the MCU treated her well. I wish she had a little bit more of a consistent arc, but or better send-off.
I think for creatives, the MCU is a like a contractual money vacation where you get the royal treatment, you get tons of money, but your ass is theirs. And eventually you want to be free. And that's what I've been seeing happening. Because, like, I forget where I read it or watched it. They're like, so this is what you have to do when you sign for the MCU. You sign over your goddamn soul. You don't get to do shit. You get to do what they say. And you get paid super well. And also, they may hook you up with a fantastic body.
Well, speaking of the multiverse and other things, what was your overall opinion of Moon Knight? Because it kind of ties into this sort of era, and there was like a little nod where like there's multiple afterlife dimensions in the Moon Knight world, but I was never quite sure if the Moon Knight events were like in the MCU proper, or if it was like a multiverse.
For this podcast, I wanted to catch up on that, and I didn't.
How far did you get?
Not it was like so. When I first was actually going to try to get in on it, my Disney Plus app on my Nvidia Shield didn't give me audio specifically with Moon Knight. I don't know.
Did you not watch any of it?
I couldn't at first. Like,
okay, so you've never
I could watch
seen
other things, but like every time I went to Moon Knight, the only way I could watch is with like in different languages with subtitles.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I eventually found out like what I needed to do. I had to dig a little deeply into my shield to set it so that it gets down. And by the time it did, the zeitgeist had passed for it, and I've been watching a bunch of other stuff. But I'll check it out.
I'm morbidly curious. I wasn't a huge fan. I thought it like tried to do like this is the gritty Marvel show about real shit, but I thought it was generally too goofy. There are elements I think you'll really like, but I just thought it was
I've not been liking the bright factor. I haven't really been enjoying the MCU TV shows. Like and also it's bleeding into the Star Wars where it's a feeling like we'll go back more to Doctor Strange, but this is more of a multiverse thing conversation. So there's a YouTube channel called Retro Blasting. A guy named Mike French runs it, and he had this video that I once disagreed with, where it's called the Kathleen Kennedy Fire Hose of
Yes,
Fun.
I love that video. I've seen, I loved it so much that I watched it a few times.
I just watched it recently.
I'm surprised you disagree with it.
I did. Now I agree with him. Because to me, I was like, no, having more fun things is good. No. More fun things, but now it's the unending fire hose. Like, it's not fun where like it's not an event, and then also when they sometimes do a subpar thing, then I have to go through the stupid news cycle of, are you a racist for not liking this? And it's like, ugh. And then also I was thinking about like how much I'm not liking that. It seems like corporations are buying my time. They're purchasing my parts of my day now. So where once upon a time, like I go out and I seek Star Wars because it's fantastic, and then like I geek out and I find things take up my time because I find good things that are awesome to take up my time and watch. Where now Disney Star Wars is like I get like an hour to a half hour of your time no matter what, because I'm Star Wars and I don't even have to do that good of a job. And it's like, okay, what am I watching you guys still for now? Like, it seems like, yeah, like they have literally like purchased blocks of people's time, and they don't have to do a great job. And a culture has been created around it where they can blame you if you don't like it.
If you don't like it, they gotta have it before you. Just like I'm very curious to see what you'll think of Moon Knight, because I think it's just has the exact same. And I think the reason why I hate, I'm a little bit more annoyed at Moon Knight than Doctor Strange is because Doctor Strange never pretended to be like, oh, it's going to be dark and gritty, and this is a serious storytelling. It's to deal with mental illness and this highbrow thing. But Moon Knight is just far too goofy.
Oh, no.
For like... and when it does get serious, it's like with the most kid glove thing possible. And then there's a really goofy scene at the end, which I'm really curious to hear what your take on is. And I just thought it was just all over the map. And I'm like,
you're making it sound like I was right to, because like, yeah, to me, like I was like, So I was all in on WandaVision, and then like it kind of shit the bed by the end. I'm like, okay. And then like, please don't fuck up Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they did.
They did.
Then Loki, like, wow, everything looks great, and then they fuck up their ending, and so I'm just like, okay, what am I like? I'm watching it because you're Marvel. Like, I'm here because you guys purchased my time. Like, so yeah, that's kind of part of why like I'm trying to turn my attention to like Space He-Man. Like, okay, yeah, now Space He-Man, you're earning my time. Like, this is more
versus
voluntary.
like buying it because it's the good brand.
Yes. Like,
well, so what
people
was
are
your
watching Star Wars because it's Star Wars, not because it's good.
So what's your thesis about the multiverse, and do you think it's good or bad? Because like on one hand, like I think Spider-Man No Way Home is like a positive case for the multiverse, because it asserts that like even if something is terrible, you can just retroactively save it by bringing it back and being self-conscious about it. It's almost kind of like how Johnny Depp won the Amber Heard trial, because someone pointed this out and they're like, oh, you're right. Johnny Depp admitted that, I'm an alcoholic drug abuser. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say I'm a saint. It's what we do in Hollywood. And I'm sorry. Versus Amber Heard, who would not give an inch of ground and like rode her like hot white girlness to the edge of the sun, to the point where it's like, even after losing, she's still like, oh, this is a terrible loss for me and all women, and just wouldn't admit that she was kind of like, a terrible person. And all right, so bringing something a little bit heavier to something lighter, whatchamacallit, bringing it back to Spider-Man, having Andrew Garfield come in and kind of like be the Peter Parker who's like has self-esteem issues and feels like he did the worst out of all the Spider-Men, and the movie to acknowledge it and give him a pep talk, this metatextual pep talk, elevates those movies. It saves that trilogy in a way.
I will say, okay, I'm another outsider on one of these. Like, I never had that big of a problem with the Andrew Garfield ones, and even thought they were kind of good. But like, yeah, like with the that last one that people just denounced, but that doesn't matter. I kind of like them, but I was gonna say that the thing here is what one of my podcasting partners said best. There's no replacement for genuinely giving a shit. So in Spider No Way Home, everything's organic. Everything kind of like makes sense. Like he really was already self-depreciating, and that's how Peter Parker would be. So it's not so like the Matrix Resurrection where everything is very much like just kind of talking about the meta. This meta works in the story and outside.
True.
Which isn't
versus like other multiverse things where like, the what if was kind of exhausting, and most of it was like really, Marvel quality fan fiction. Like, B- at best, C+ storytelling. That was so that becomes tedious. But and then the DC's they want that multiverse so badly with the Flash movie. Who Ezra Miller just seems to be like he's running this contest of how many crimes can I commit, how many social taboos can I break, while using the non-binary identity.
Yep, fame madness. There's a thing. Like, I have a conversation. I have a friend who is very well off, and he wants to have a conversation with me to say, yeah, there's a dark side of getting well off, where when you don't have enough of a challenge in life, it can drive you crazy. And that's what I'm seeing with Ezra Miller. Like, he hit a pretty top of game, can't fail, and now he's wilding about. And so on that though, what I think, I kind of think, I want to keep, okay. So I'm not sure. I don't want to keep Amber Heard around. But okay, I don't have a complete thought on this. I was like, let's keep like what his personal life is away from the movie. Like, just release the movie, and somebody please get him a lawyer or a therapist, and and deal with his real life away from the movie, and then just give me the movie. I don't have to endorse his criminal activity. I just want to see what art they create, separate from. So like, there's all that like worry about like do we have to edit him out of the movie and replace him? I say no.
I think they're just going to release it. I think it's too expensive to try and pull a. But I mean, narratively, they could do like a few reshoots and adjust the face or whatever, and say this is Delta Flash, and have I don't know Michael Cera do the voiceover or whatever.
Delta Flash, awesome. But yeah, yes, we're just seeing like a lot more art. A lot of the business just it's getting a little too easy to see on the screen. So. Yeah, I guess I was right. It sounds like I'm right. The rush, like I hear, like when you rewatch Doctor Strange, like there's this feeling that
the first one, or Multiverse of Madness.
Or something? See what?
Oh, for the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes. While I was watching it, there was like this like distant feeling of giant chunks missing and pasted over, and such as like. The giant shot of like in the apple orchard with Wanda, I could see that just being inserted because they're like, okay, nope, we need to keep inserting things that we can afford to do, like such as like just her on set with just like two little boys, and like that was easy, affordable reshoots to do to turn it into now we don't have to worry about her contract just in case in the future, and that's kind of like. What I think ruined the story of what we might have gotten, and then also, because like when I was watching, I was like, why aren't I more appreciative of this? Like, this is beautiful. The effects are like this is all stuff I wish I could have seen as a kid. But then like I've been trying to figure it out. I think the thing I figured out was when you first see a magic trick, it's awesome, and then we find out how it's done. Yeah,
we've been seeing magic tricks for like 10 plus years. You know, you got to up your game
even more. Like when we first saw those dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, holy goddamn shit! But now, I'm sorry, you just can't throw a monster on the screen, even though someone killed it with like that design. But it's like visual noise on the screen now.
Yeah, you got to get people to care. Well, speaking of, have you seen the? I don't know if it's on video on demand. Have you seen the Multiverse movie that everyone loves? That's like
Not
the
yet.
pinnacle of the genre, and you haven't seen Everything Everywhere All at Once. That'll be interesting to see what you think. Yeah, of course, I told you. It was the last time we talked. It was on my things to recommend geek out on list.
You and like the planet, they're like saying this is the movie to beat for the year.
I full-heartedly agree with that sentiment. I think it is like probably the king of the most creative, best use of the multiverse. The best bonkers, fun Chris Nolan movie that Chris Nolan will never make because Chris Nolan takes himself too seriously. But I think it does a brilliant job of introducing the audience to how the mechanics work, exploring those mechanics, and having a great story arc with an emotionally resonant center that connected with a lot of people. It's a great case for diversity and representation that doesn't suck, and it's just a fantastic movie. And I think there's a reason why it's getting so much hype that now that there's like film Twitter backlash towards it.
A backlash?
Where people like, where it's like, oh, it's overrated. When something gets when
Cycle.
something is like the pinnacle of its craft, that's when the haters come out and the sort of inevitable backlash.
Does the movie attend to a problem with infinite multiverses, which is what Rick and Morty even kind of like addressed, which is how much if you keep saying infinite, you're making everything meaningless. Like,
yeah, it kind of does because it's ultimately a family drama, and I'd say the end of the film is about using all possibilities to make the possibilities of your current situation matter more and strengthen those bonds. So I thought it was very wholesome. I didn't think it was, the Rick and Morty edgelord nihilism. I don't know if I said that right, but
no, you did. Because like I feel like, let's see. I would say I was not aware. It seems like if you say infinite universes, that's gonna make it very hard to create like genuine meaning. But it sounds like they actually did pull genuine meaning out of infinity, which
in here, I guess Well, that's the interesting. I think maybe this is your issue about the multiverse is that it's basically a built-in get out of jail free card, Storyverse card.
Yep. Like nothing has to mean anything. Like you can introduce freaking Xavier and Black Bolt and Captain Carter and woo, and then like wipe them out. But who cares? Because like it's just one of like other multiverses where they also still exist, just getting wiped out. It's just like you got like you need some limits to your multiverses to keep things mattering.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think that just it's a tool. You can use it for effective stories, or you can use it for weak stories. Marvel right now, I think they need like a central villain or a central conflict. Like in some ways, I enjoy the multiverse. I love the idea that like every piece of Marvel, even shitty Marvel, is some sort of canon, and to like see like a call out of like Roger Rabbit style thing of well, maybe this is a good segue into the other part that you wanted to talk about, Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. Before we get there, I wanted to say before I forget, the problem with Infinite Multiverses. I think I was thinking from like how they were doing it in Loki. Oh, the problem is in multiverses. It's hey, let's put a limit to how many there are. Because if you do that, now we're having meeting on like who gets wiped out where, and things can start like so. Yeah, you can have they can all matter, but like I think we definitely need to start saying there's a finite mini
number. You want to return to stakes versus like if there's an infinite matter, then nothing matters.
Exactly. There you go.
Yeah, which is like it's a very cheap tool to or as your boy FD Signifier pointed out in the Maniverse with the Owl Man. I looked into the darkness and then nothing matters, but you blinked. Wow!
I remember when I saw that line. That was such a badass line to me. I don't care what he says. I love that line.
Yeah, I still enjoy that. I still enjoyed the Batman versus Owl Man fight from that movie. But it is a cheap get out of jail free card, but at the same token, if you use it, it would be fun to see like Chris Evans Captain America drawn in the 1990s X-Men style and have those stories still count, and then the terrible Fantastic Four still counts, and it's all part of these things. So in some ways, I appreciate the media solidarity that all these things that you have these things that you could bring in together, because I think the novelty of basically, your work friends and your, home friends meeting up still is an incredibly powerful force, and it's still like pushing, like even in Hawkeye, it was fun to see Yelena hang out with Kate Bishop, and it's like, oh my God, these two flavors are mixing up. Ooh, cool, it's fun. And that novelty is still worthwhile. And, I guess it's just a question of like what you do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure. Okay, so the next place to go with this is the Rescue Rangers thing. So with that, like, thanks to the model of streaming where they have to keep this shit coming no matter what. There's like there's no break. We really are getting almost everything we ever asked for, even though we aren't actually getting what we wish for. Halo. So, but it's an incredible landscape that's hitting though, that is happening. Because like my first encounters with this kind of stuff was like, do you know Cartoon All Stars to the Rescue?
Yeah, that wasn't that like anti-drug PSA where they like a bunch of Saturday morning. I've seen clips of it.
Yeah, like for me when that happened, that was literally like the Avengers moment. Like when I was a kid. The music was playing in my soul when I was like just being able to watch one episode and see Michelangelo appear in the same, even though they weren't the same scene. And eventually I thought about it, I was like, well, I'm not sure if that was as cool as I thought, but like just the possibility of that happening used to feel pretty fucking impossible. And then throughout time, it happens a little bit here and there, like Fred Flintstone meets George Jetson. I remember us being freaking mind blown when they crossed over the X-Men arcade game with Street Fighter, and we're like, this can't be happening. And now it's everywhere, and we always get it. And what a weird landscape we're in now, where it just can just fucking happen.
Yeah, it is kind of fun, but like if you get like saturated, but I guess Chip and Dale, like that's an example of where it's fun to see all these things interact and have them be in a universe. Like I love the ugly Sonic.
Oh my god! This was like people being aware of like the problems of oversaturation of the Megaverse, and I loved it. I kind of felt like they took a shot at Disney Star Wars with the rats who were dressed as Kylo Ren and like I think Leia just kind of flopping around. And what else? Oh, my favorite part was Tiger from the shitty Avengers cartoon. I loved that so much.
I couldn't put my finger on where she was from. Is that what she was from? The Avengers cartoon?
I remember in the 90s, like I think we had like X-Men had been passed, and like they're just like trying to make Avengers a thing, and they're trying to make it just the ratchet 90s designs of like armor and transforming parts, and it's awful. And she was in it, and that she showed up in the I died laughing. Oh my god, like the deep cuts and caring like this, like the people who did it felt like there was once upon a time I used to go to a forum called Toon Zone, and it was just surrounded by people who get everything when it comes to talking about cartoons and animation and the industry, and that's what it felt like watching. It felt like the Toon Zone forum, the movie. Like every reference in there,
it was fantastic. Like, I love the uncanny
CGI
valley,
versus traditional animation jokes.
Yeah, it was just like so smart and so clever, parodying the terrible rap songs that all the kids' movies have. The uncanny valley, and I didn't even get this, but then when I realized it, like Seth Rogen, I thought he was supposed to be a Lord of the Rings character, but
he was Beowulf.
Yeah, fucking Beowulf.
Yes, like only like animation dorks get how funny that is, and like I loved it. They genuinely gave a shit. You saw the true heart of like people who enjoy animation, having fun and doing jokes that like only we get. And I guess it's possible since now we can get anything. So every so often we get gems like this, or we get Halo.
Well, so here's what I think. You could say that, like, as Thanos with his knife on his finger, about perfectly balanced as all things are. In one way, the Megaverse can be a tool for lazy storytelling and lazy writing, in that it's just a way to make sure that like nothing ever fucking counts, and it's like a get out of jail free card for when you just screw shit up. But on the other hand, it's a way to play with more tools in the toolbox and mix your action figure sets together. In the ultimate question of the Lego movie proposes, what are you? Are you an anal person who like glues your Legos together and keeps all the sets separate, or do you mash them up all together? And assumingly, if you're the right company with the right licenses at the right time, or you have enough clout, you can have a lot of fun with it, like Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
That goes to the core of like what I do actually love, which is the mix and match toy box feel. That's how I did play as a kid. So as I grew up, and like when I was a kid and they made toys, they wouldn't really match well with the cartoon. So it was kind of fun that like you're basically assembling a cast of people to choose from to create your own like stories and movies and stuff. That's how we played. So that's part of why I love Space He-Man. Like all the character designs and like the action and the stories, like they beautifully look like a mishmash of like just toy box, and like there's one guy who's always wearing scuba gear, and like it's like you pull your scuba gear guy, and like he's fighting next to He-Man, and I love that feeling, and that's how the Avengers did it, like eventually by Endgame toy box feel.
The Rousseau movie brothers did feel like fun toy boxes, and the Avenger movies felt like toy boxes, except for Age of Ultron, which was just like a bunch of like really kind of like strenuous setup. You gave me a really good point. That's what
Star Wars originally felt like, toy box, like all these mishmash of like a werewolf guy next to a robot guy. It was fun, and then the thing that I started to not enjoy was how much the toys started to just match the cartoon, so that's all it was. So I guess like now I'm starting to see more of like this this turning, like the fight against just being the thing, the IP, versus feeling like a place of imagination. I'm not sure that makes sense.
And to tie it back into Doctor Strange, I think that's the problem with the Multiverse of Madness. On paper, it sounds like it was going to be the ultimate toy box movie. We've got fan favorite director Sam Raimi, who's being brought in to the Multiverse of Madness, being given Disney money. He's got access to all these freaking licenses that have been consolidated. Oh my God, Doctor Strange in a puppet universe, Doctor Strange in the X-Men cartoon and the Spider-Man cartoon. How amazing would that be to just have this well of creativity and Sam Raimi's gonzo storytelling at the reins? It's a geek heaven, but instead we just kind of got this like hastily constructed corporate product which did the bare minimum of what a Marvel movie should be, with occasional, Sam Raimi elements at it, which, makes it fine. I'm sure, like, when I go to the gym and I see it on FX, I'll be like, oh, okay, this is a good way to kill some time. But it's not like a movie that I'm ever going to revisit because I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah. I came out of it going, yeah, that was fine. I'm very curious. I got to ask around, like, what do kids think? Like, are they experiencing like their own, like, era of, like, is it because we've seen this like stuff too much? We can see the business. Like, is this hitting with maybe kids who it matters with most? Like, are they saying, holy shit, I've just seen the next epic chapter that means so much to me?
Yeah, I wish I could say I had some friends who had like some older kids that were like 10 years old, because I am always really, really interested to see how like kids interpret this. It's funny. My mom does like a lot of stuff with child development stuff, research. She did a lot of like work in children's media for stuff like Magic School Bus, and does a lot of consulting work. So she occasionally does studies, and every now and then we have conversations in terms of like, how are kids perceiving this? Are they still loving Marvel and whatnot? Do they like Batman versus Superman? What the hell do little kids think of Zack Snyder's and Randy and Deconstruction, where Batman and Superman have to fight each other?
I have a Padawan that I do, who is around that age, though I do ask every so often. God bless his heart. He actually blazed through all of One Piece, the anime and the manga.
Oh wow!
Not long after saying, "Hey, you should check this out." So I'm actually messaging him right now to see what he thought of Doctor Strange, because he gave me one of the most fun insights of like.
Well, how old is he?
He's got to be like 15, 16.
Oh, that's really interesting. So, well, all right, so a little bit more savvy, but
yeah.
Anyway, what was his insight?
The insight that was fun. Like me and him started talking about Star Wars, because he wanted to fully understand like my problems with it, and like we got around to the prequels for some reason, and like I was like, yeah, what, yeah, like you're a prequel fan. He's like, yes, I am. Like, I'm like younger kids are, or younger people, and I was like, yeah, but it sucks. He goes, yes. We know it sucks, but we love it anyway. And that was like the big like reveal of like where this prequel fandom came from. Like, they are aware of like the memes and how bad the acting and writing is, but they still embrace it anyway. Kind of like how there were some pretty bad episodes of Space He-Man, but you can love faults, especially if it's coming from a genuine place, which is why there's prequel of. So yeah. We'll see what he says about Doctor Strange in a couple moments. But
yeah, because I hope you get an answer from him, because like I think maybe that's the big reason for the Marvel backlash is if you have something bad that could be really fun and cathartic, like Morbius, everyone's favorite meme movie. If you have something really good, that's a lot of fun. But if you're just in the middle,
yes,
that is like the le petit mort, the small death. Apathy, that's what really gets it boring and blah, because like Doctor Strange does a lot of adequate, Benedict Cumberbatch is a good performer, Elizabeth Olsen is a good performer, the filmmaking is competent, the storytelling isn't super engaging, but it gets the point across, but it's just kind of like that sort of middle of the road, and it leads to like fatigue, which to me is like the worst thing you can have for a brand. overall, but it still made a shit ton of money.
And from my Padawan, he's disappointed. He's going to be disappointed by all the cameos. He's just saying that like, darn it. See I guess I have to reframe my question. He's disappointed at what he thought was going to be, and just didn't turn out to be that. He thought that there's going to be just too many cameos, but putting lots of cameos would have cluttered the film for him. So, like, he is basically saying that no, this is not his Lord of the Rings. Like, even the young kids are being pretty critical about like what they see on the screen.
Just like, Marvel's still the end of the world, but it feels like it's a little bit of a rotting empire.
Mm-hmm.
And like, there needs to be like a political statement to say, this is the new thing to get excited about. This is the big payoff. This is the Blackbeard that
what
you've
I'm
been
hoping,
waiting.
what I'm hoping for is that this is the opening for some new creative team somewhere that maybe that's smaller, that can shake up the industry like Star Wars once did. And like, so what I think might be happening, what I'm waiting for it to happen now is like, there was a time in my 90s/80s comic book understanding where suddenly Image Comics came out. There you go. I'm waiting for the Image Comics moment where like, you got DC, you got Marvel, they're both becoming kind of complacent and they're all basically trying to stay very safe. So who's going to be the Image Comics to rise up and like, blow people's minds with like how far you can go with these kind of stories?
That's an interesting thing to point out. A lot of people are fighting to become the Image Comics, like Vin Diesel with God, and then just Bloodshot, and then I was just thinking about it. Have you ever seen the terrible Morbius end credit scene?
No.
So Morbius has like one of the worst end credit scenes of all time, where you could tell that it's like a dialogue from different scenes that are just clumsily edited together. So basically what happens is Michael Keaton's Vulture comes in with the Vulture suit after getting transmuted to the Morbius dimension. And he says, hey, I think a bunch of guys like us should get together. We could do some good. And then Morbius is like, that's interesting. And the thesis of why I think Morbius became such a meme was because it is like the defining epitome of mediocre. It is aggressively mediocre. It's try hard edgy. It wants to be like with the cool kids of like the Spider-Man MCU, but from lack of talent, lack of vision, and fucking Jared Leto, and because it is such a try hard movie, that is why people have like embraced it and its ironicness. Oh my god, Morbius is so good. He morbed. Oh, it's the best movie of all time. And I loved it that they released it to try and capitalize on the memes, but then they felt they were reached the snakes on a plane reality.
Yeah, snakes on a plane reality. Because I was all aboard that snakes on a plane hype train. And was quite surprised at the reality.
Did not translate into
Nope.
box office success.
Nope. And Padawan also says that he likes the horror elements, and he really enjoyed that. On the movie, we got to see the true stamp of Sam Raimi. So, anyway,
it was nice that he was able to smuggle some things, and it feels like the reason why it's being more like people are giving it more of a pass is that you could feel a Sam Raimi stamp versus like the Peyton Reed Ant-Man movies.
Oh yeah, or like even though
the ultimate definition of fine.
Yeah, like and even like the Spider-Man movies. I think they're really good, but each one I don't feel a stamp of the director. I almost feel like I'm seeing Kevin Feige's stamp.
Yeah, the Spider-Man movies are like the most rote. I mean, they're enjoyable, they're fine, but they do not feel like they are mission statements from John Watts.
Exactly.
Which is funny. They gave him Fantastic Four, but that he which you'd think would be like the ultimate geek opportunity to take the most valued, beloved icon, crown jewel of Marvel, and get to have your way with it. And he's like, no, I need to be I need to do something for myself.
Yes. Get it? Yeah, like that is the cycle I see. Like these artists are like, I will get that fat ass paycheck, but eventually I want my life back.
I want to. I'm a person. I'm a person at the end of the world. I am me. I am John Watts. I'm an artist. I make art.
Speaking of art, so I finished Halo, and this is the other conversation I've been wanting to have. Okay, I thought it was fine. I didn't think it was good. But like I thought it was fine. I thought I'll say it was almost good. My main thing is this: I'm saying is like, as a Star Wars fan, I've endured like millions of dollars spent on like basically just not getting basic things of life right. Like they like there's like a scene in The Last Jedi where freaking Kylo Ren flies into the launch bay of a ship, and we don't see how he got out or why, and they just don't care. They're just like just doing things on screen, just doing screen. Like, while this Halo to me was quite lukewarm overall, I'm at least seeing Jimmy Rings walk in the right direction and shoot the right people.
No, he's not. Occasionally he lucks into like. Did you enjoy episode 7 where Jimmy? What did you think of the Quan Ha story? Where all right, it's rant time. I'm angry. I'm piped up.
Go man, go.
I hated episode 7, and I hated her stupid little journey where it's like, oh, you're a little shitty kid who's a contrarian at all times.
Yes.
Even when you're like with your fucking dad, you're like, oh, fuck the rebel army. Yeah, because I'm just like a stuck-up little girl who doesn't even like my rebel dad and his cool freaking multi-person army, and I'm just gonna be an unpleasant person. But you need to find your real role. You're just
Yep.
did you enjoy her little Star Wars vision quest?
Oh God, no! You're completely right. All that was really awful.
It was just the most stupid, insane. And you can see like that douchebag who's like, yeah, this is her journey.
Yep.
And then we learn that anger
The douchebag
is bad.
This is her story.
This is her story, and this is how we do it. It's like Luke going into the swamps of Dagobah, and he's got to kill Darth Vader, and he sees it himself. She's got to like learn that her anger, and then she goes to the stupid witches, and it's like, oh, you're a protector. Fuck you.
Yeah.
Well, why has that become like? Oh, I got to get political here. You know, like the soy boy action version of a hero is the protector. It's the Steven Universe with a shield. I'm an action guy, but since I'm the protector, that means I'm the socially acceptable version versus the toxic masculinity version of the person who fights things or shoots bad guys. I just hate that.
Wait.
Nothing.
This is the first time I think this is being brought to my attention that we're seeing over and over the glorification of protectors versus those who have the ability to attack.
I would have to like do a little bit more research, but it is a trend, and I just think it's stupid. Like I don't see Quan Ha murdering guys and foot soldiers as a protector being any different of her murdering guys as a rebel soldier. I think it's the same fucking shit. I don't think calling her a protector is somehow ennobling her and gives her a higher purpose. And I just love that the solution to her problem is that there's a convenient little explodey MacGuffin that she just has to turn on, and that solves her problems. You just got to get them. We're going to have the planet fight them. I've just been thinking all wrong. Versus like, Quan Ha setting off a bomb in the villain base with the Pacific Rim guy being like a neo-Nazi.
Here's what I think the difference is. Like, and what reactions I got regarding how much I was mad at what they did with Star Wars. I don't understand why you care as much as you do. Because like, let me finish saying, like, Star Wars hit like when I was born, and it's been part of my DNA, and like. One of the most important parts of it was for me is like it is a galaxy far, far away where a person of actually any race and color should be able to become as equal as anyone else. And like in Star Wars, you don't have the excuse of history, and that was like my safe space. And then they totally fucked it over and did horrible things to people like characters I love. So like I reacted very strong because like this has been with me in my heart forever. I am a Halo fan. But I will say that I was never married to the mythos as much. Like the parts I love of Halo is just like seeing a monster come at my friend's back and killing it before it gets him. So how did Halo get to mean as much to you?
That's a good point. I wouldn't say Halo means as much to me as Star Wars. It's just like in the myriad of creative choices, I think it's possible to do a good Halo series.
All right.
And like, YA book, a terrible, like a divergent level YA moment, is so antithetical to Halo, which is basically like, above average, interesting, military science fiction, Band of Brothers. I still like the aesthetic. I still think Halo, like the Bungie games, have this mix. I think it's one thing for the co-op, because like Halo transformed like the gaming space tremendously. It was like one of the first-person shooters that had like multi-vehicle combat, so the universe felt more immersive. It felt more lived in. It had this really great, I'm sure there's a better term for it, but like I'm just gonna make up something, gaming immersion or diegetic gameplay that made you feel the experience more than like playing Doom Guy or even Half-Life. The fact that you could only pick up 2 weapons, that you could pick up the alien weapons and use them against it. And the fact that like Halo had an interesting mystery and expanding sci-fi lore that just kind of got bigger and bigger as you went into it. First, it's just started like the aliens want to kill the humans. Oh, there's these ancient aliens. We got to figure it out. Oh, crap. These ancient aliens were fighting against an even bigger thing. And there are these cool sci-fi zombies that have this hive mind intelligence. And then you have this beleaguered super soldier who always wins the day, but loses the war. And there's this great sadness to the Master Chief, which I think is what makes him work as a character and makes him work as an icon. And I feel like you could translate that well into a good story. They had the money. There are scenes like, that the action sequence in Halo in the end of episode 5 was pretty good.
Okay, like you just said exactly the same thing. Like when I was doing my heated rants about Star Wars, they have the fucking money to afford a decent space battle. They have the money to figure out, I don't know, what a good story is. There's no excuse. I fully get what you're saying. And then the next question is like, what do you think about remixes versus faithful? So like, I want to like lay down like some thoughts on this, which is like,
all right. So I wouldn't.
Before you answer, I gotta lay down a baseline.
Okay, lay down your baseline.
Okay, so remix versus faithful, where Jodorowsky. Do you watch Jodorowsky's Dune?
I've not seen it, but I know of the documentary. I know it's famous. Okay. His mythical adaptation of Dune that he was supposed to do before people told him, "You're insane, and we're not giving you this kind of money."
Fantastic, crazy creator guy, and he says like true creation is like, he uses the wrong word. It's very not the best word, the R word. Anyway, he says like, so when you get if someone gives you a property, you take that and you must I'll say the word he probably should have said, ravish it. You take it and you make it your own. Okay, like if you just do faithful adaptation, what are you doing as an artist? You're not expressing yourself. You're not doing art. So what I was thinking is like that there is something to that, and I think that's why like Rian Johnson did what he did, and like you're trying to put your stamp on it. And so is it possible that we could have gotten a Halo that completely misses all of the themes that makes Halo good, but using the property, it still made something good? Would you think that's a thing that
I mean, I assume that like maybe some of the I haven't read every single comic book and comic book and regular book, but I assume some of those stories probably stretch the parameters of what you could do in a Halo story. But like everything I saw on the Halo, even if it wasn't like on its own, it was just bad. It was bad television. Okay. These are not the artists who are making fantastic stories.
Even if they're just trying to remix, make their own thing, they still failed at that. I don't think I would disagree.
Let's just imagine we cut off all the Master Chief stuff, all the Halo Association. Would you watch the Quan Ha story if you saw that? And it's called Trivergent in theaters. What would you think of Trivergent?
Well said. No, I would not watch Trivergent. But this goes back to wow, corporations are buying our time. That's
the power of the IP.
I hope what we're seeing is like what happened is happening in comic books. Comic books are getting toxically SJW, and that's pushing people away. But like what they think, the writers there is like, no, since I got this title, I have your time. But like comic book writers, readers seem to be going, no, we're still doing the old ways. Like I go and find what I like, and in manga, the ones that boil to the top aren't the IP; it's the artist that people.
Yeah, I think that's why I love manga so much, and I'm such like a manga file. Is that the artist is king, the storyteller is king. We worship Oda. We worship Kishimoto to a degree when he was on fire with Naruto. We worship Tatsuki Fujimoto for Chainsaw Man. They're the definitive authorial voice. Sure, there's spin-offs, there's light novels, but the true canon of One Piece is what Oda writes in that goddamn page. And, it's really interesting because this is also... Have you ever heard of the hierarchy of canon in George Lucas?
Yes, it is like I forget what
and also it kind of ties into this multiverse storyline. But it's an interesting, like, some people have it officially in stone as like edicts of continuity. Other people, do it haphazardly. Where like the movie storyline is more important. So if we have this comic book, fuck it, it's just a stupid comic book. We can contradict that because the movie is more legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
And the hierarchy of canon, it's kind of like a useful device. But I think why manga works is that the hierarchy of canon is the manga. The anime, the One Piece anime is a supplement to the manga and ultimately beholden to the manga. But it's not doing its own thing. It's not better than the manga. And because, the manga world is so artist driven. I'm sure the art, depending on the scale of the artists, they have editors who they have to work with, but the ones who rise to the top is usually because of their vision and their drive, and that's why I feel like manga's kicking the ass of the American comic industry.
And that's what and a lot of geeks are forgetting. Like these people, they're people who they're being all tribal about stuff, and They denounce George Lucas and whatnot. Like they forget that it was him and his talent that got us here in the first place. We get to have Star Wars because his talent on his own made it Star Wars. Versus, I think people just kind of start seeing Star Wars as Star Wars. Star Wars is great because Star Wars is great, not how we got there through. Star Wars is great because of like world building, story construction, structure, whatnot, and
aesthetics also has a brilliant lived-in aesthetic that's like filled with fun and adventure and things you want to see.
Yep.
Star Wars is a lot of mythic storytelling and just a lot of great execution and why it's a place you want to live.
Yeah,
and
great stories that got us here, and like I feel like sometimes it happens that we forget who got us here because this new artist wants to do their thing and leave their artistic stamp that you recognize and don't forget. Last Jedi.
And that, I guess, bringing it back to Halo and why I despise it is like, I wouldn't mind if it felt like a good military sci-fi story using a few aesthetics of the Halo universe. But like, were you invested? Like I texted it to my brother. I think I sent it to you on Facebook, the scene where the Master Chief says, "I believe in humanity and things are good," where he's like framed in front of some cherry blossoms while he's having that romance story with the Covenant spy. Was that good, the Trivergent version, even if it wasn't Master Chief and he was just a generic space soldier?
I'll say no, and also I think Halo is the one that made me start thinking about how much my time has been purchased. Because like, I only finished it because I wanted to have this conversation with you. And otherwise I wouldn't have kept on watching it. I definitely would have stopped sooner if it wasn't called Halo. But
here's
and really quickly, and like it's like a weird. It seems almost part of the industry where like they put this out, and then like I've seen YouTubers getting like fatigue on this, where they're like, yeah, because this is what I talk about, like this is what I rag on, this is what I insult, and then like therefore, companies get that like boost that we were talking about before, like bad publicity, but like it gets the ratings, it gets people talking, and it's purchased time, not art that we should not art that's earned our time. There you go.
Yeah, that is true. And I guess that's why, like, remakes and rehashes and things with IPs is kind of like, if you have an installed pace, you could at least have an audience who's have purchased their time to hate watch it or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And my guess is of why I think you left the Halo on a slightly more positive opinion than me is because the last episode they did a few smart things. Number one, they had the prophets admit that they hate the Blessed One almost as much as the audience.
That was I wiped the sweat from my brow when they did that. I was like, oh my god, that was close. That was so close. I thought they were going to make her their queen. I felt that was where we were going.
That earned me like 40 points of goodwill. The space folks hate her as much as I do.
Yeah, we'll kill her once we're done. I'm like, oh my god, thank you. Jesus, that was close.
She gets shot. And there's like a not terrible action sequence at the end where the Spartans go and kind of win the day. And it was like, even though I really hated the quote subverting expectations where like you could feel like the snide showrunner or writer's room being like, okay, you think you want Master Chief who doesn't talk? We'll give you Master Chief who doesn't talk. Cortana's gonna control him, which to me makes no sense. If that made sense, then why isn't Cortana like, hey, it's me, I'm controlling Master Chief, woo?
Oh my god, yeah, it's the close your eyes and win thing that I hate so much, that drives me so crazy. Rey did it in The Force Awakens, in Man of Steel. Oh my god, because I love stepping to bat for Man of Steel because I think that's an amazing movie, but it has the giant finger poke in my eye of for no good reason. Superman is able to beat the World Machine when we are specifically said that it takes away his powers. He just closes his eyes and says, I'll just blow it up anyway. And I'm like, so then at the end here, just close your eyes and just let Cortana win. Like, oh, okay. All you gotta do is just let her win. I guess there's the sacrifice of his humanity and how he'll get it back. I did not like that. To get out, if for all of my stories, at the ending, to get out of the unstoppable situation, it has to be a combination of what the characters have learned up to that point and then used as the final blow. Not
it's hard. Jail free card. It's interesting because bringing it back to manga, what makes a great manga versus a shitty manga is the power up moment and the win card. When you do it, it's like this, Dragon Ball Z, Super Saiyan, transformative. Oh my god, this is so cool! It's been built up, and this is the culmination. There's a moment like that coming in One Piece. I'm curious to see how you'll react to it once it's animated and you see it in real time. The question is, did you earn that moment, or are you just pulling it out of your ass as a win card? And this kind of is a little bit of a win card, although if you ask me, I feel like Master Chief could have won the day without using Cortana, since the power of Cortana just he dual wielded and did a little John Wick action and then called. I don't see why he couldn't have asked the Pelican to come in, or that she did anything he couldn't other than touch the stupid Halo artifact, which they threw in as a contrived plot point. But even then, I feel like he could have had the Pelican, I don't know, rope lifted in or some other bullshit. But you know, it was like they're very like, yeah, we're subverting expectations. And what do you think now? We gave you the Master Chief, but we screwed over Pablo Shiver or whatever the guy's name is, the actor's name, Jimmy Rings. Jimmy Rings is no more. But now we gave you the Master Chief, but he's kind of dull and lifeless and an emotionless robot. Don't you feel terrible?
Okay.
You know what? No.
So this there's something that ended with last time, which is we have to remember the old ways. Like we can't let them be purchasing your time. And I think, like, unfortunately, sometimes the IP you want to be doing what you want doesn't. And please try to find Roughneck Starship Troopers so you can see Halo done right. Like, you'll see.
I don't know if it'll be up to Verhoeven's, but you know, I know you've been telling me that that's like something I should watch in the Saturday morning binge.
Wait, what was that about the Verhoeven thing? What'd you say?
Oh, because you know it's like a Saturday morning kids cartoon, so they can't do the Starship Troopers gore that the Verhoeven movie.
Yes, they can. Yes, they did. Sort of.
Did they?
Yes.
All right. I guess
so what? I'm not sure
I'll have to
how.
see what the PG. I'll have to see what the PG version of that is.
Yeah, it's CGI. And I can't tell how, like, what you're seeing will not be. It's not Saturday morning cartoon. Like, I don't know how they got away with it. If it what they ended up making way back then, would be the equivalent of like Netflix original TV series animated for Halo. Like, you will see some tragic deaths, heroic deaths, piles of like bugs and and like the running theme through all of it is winning battle, losing war. And yeah, all the way up to the last shot, which is fantastic. Which
all right, yeah. I'll see if I can throw it into my gym playlist when I'm going to work, trying to work out, and putting it on my YouTube.
I think you'll be pleased. Like I said, what you're asking for, from the loneliness to the darkness of war to winning battles, losing war, and the wonder of space and squads working together. It's really fucking good. It's a unknown great. And like when it comes to a geeking, if you want to find good Halo, you gotta go elsewhere. You gotta find the comic books.
You gotta go to the Roughnecks cartoon, or
maybe there was a good run of the comic book. But we can't rely on the corporations to always do it. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, like with Kenobi.
I'm curious to see if, because they got like a second season that was already pre-ordered before the first one hit. And I hear the showrunners are gone.
Oh.
If someone's going to like pull a monkey out of a hat, and maybe they can get someone who actually like played Halo co-op.
Did you say that the showrunners are gone?
I'd have to confirm. I thought I read that the showrunners left for the second season or were booted or something like that.
Good.
So
I no hate toward them, like, but this did not hit, and I would love for another creative team to give a shot.
I would love to see if someone could salvage it. There's definitely some things like some action scenes. And did you like all that Spartan conflict in like the 8th episode with Catherine Halsey? And God, she had like that like Amber Heard, hot white girl energy. Like, I'm the smart.
What Spartan conflict? Which part? Because I'll say, like, I did like Halsey. Because like there's like this question that keeps coming up that like. So, like, the first time I encountered or tried to use this question, like, in social media, which went terribly, which is, it's a quote from Three Body Problem. Would you sell your mother to a whorehouse? Which is, like, if the stakes are all of fucking humanity, are you willing to do the worst thing possible? And, like, there's, like, this one episode of Battlestar Galactica where they're talking about, like, banning abortions because... holy shit, we're on the edge brink of like losing all of humanity. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, but like if we're on the edge, I'm willing to become the bad guy. Like, I don't want to, but I will sacrifice everything that I think is good so that humanity can have a chance in the future to be good ever again. And Halsey seems to be doing that.
Well, you know video game Halsey. You've seen her in Reach. She's kind of like this cantankerous, smartest girl in the room. I enjoy that. Although to me, like it feels like the situation isn't dire enough to like justify her methods. And, having one extra super soldier isn't going to do much against, a fleet of Covenant ships. So I think that's not the best question to answer or ask. And I feel like the series didn't quite set up the stakes, given the fact that Reach has not fallen. And only in episode 8 do they really set up why the Covenant is a threat. And I was like so annoyed where it's like, this should have been in the first episode where they're like looking at a horror at a glass planet and it's like 9/11 times 11.
Oh, here. Will you watch the next season of Halo?
Probably.
Did they purchase your time?
Yeah, they did. Because I'm a masochist.
Oh, you actually shocked me right there. I really felt you're like going to say, but I mean,
I should say no.
Fun being able to comment on this kind of stuff.
But considering that, like, I love terrible media and I loved hate watching Halo almost as much as you loved hate watching Picard.
Yep.
I will probably be there with the Paramount Plus to see this tragedy continue.
I fully get you. Like, I'm not. Yeah, I forget if I said Strange New Worlds is a slight disappointment because it's really good. And then, like, while we were talking, we like did our review on there are 4 hosts. I was saying like how I was disappointed. I was like, yeah, I kind of hate watching this as part of Star Trek now. And then my friend, she's reminded me like there's still another season of Picard coming. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm there. And
with all the original cast, you're still gonna get some.
Oh yes, cracked knuckles. And then like that's the answer to. A lot of like there's like memes. If you don't like it, then just don't watch it. And then like to me, like the answer to that is what you said. Like, well, I won't know I don't like it if I don't watch it. So I always like giving a chance.
But I'm surprised that you were like I can understand why you're fine. I think that ending like I
think it's
a few Halo bones at you, and obviously killing the. Did you like the romance between Master Chief and McKee and the infamous sex scene of Master Cheeks, Jimmy Rings' sex scene?
No, all that was okay. So I think with what's going on with Halo for me is like I can't really be rattled by what they do to it because like my definitive experience is the game with my friends and that's it. And I'll be honest, I barely followed the actual story. While it's happening, my mind is still too much on the combat all the time and coordinating with friends so that when the cutscenes happen, usually it's just like a time to rest my mind until I have to engage again. But then like I've seen there's fantastic lore channels rising up that just love science fiction, and the science fiction I love that like when like I actually like watch it. Like Halo's got some fantastic world building fiction and shit's been going on that's been really well done, and then they've dropped the ball in other places. But
well, I mean, you can't say all Halo's been pure. Like the purest Halo was the Bungie Halo.
Yes,
and the Microsoft Halo has struggled in ways been just as bad as at times as this Halo. But, it's still fun. It's still built on the gameplay foundation of that Bungie built. So when there's a new Halo game, I'll probably play it because you don't get them that often.
We should co-op Infinite.
Maybe if we should give it a shot. I'd play it with you. Once the co-op fucking comes up.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it was supposed to come out in May. I don't know what happened.
August is the shoot. I think it is cross. It's coming soon.
August. Okay, I guess August is as far away as I think it is. But that's
and I think it is crossplay, and I can play with you on my Xbox and you on your PC.
That's much later than May. That is impressive. I'm not sure what happened, that they don't have the resources to get.
Yeah, it also like I don't know how you spend $500 million on a game and yet you still manage to deliver games with less features than Bungie did with 1/3 of that budget 10 years ago.
The reason exists. We don't know it, but I would really love to how do you use $500 million and not have a basic feature? What programming line is keeping them from doing that?
My guess is I think Halo Infinite had a really tortured development cycle. And the reason that it even arrived as well as it did is a near miracle. but basically it was like $500 million for a grapple hook.
Yeah.
Well, but I look forward to co-oping you when that comes up. I'd definitely be down for that. But I still think Halo's a disaster. I'm glad they killed the romance. But I had fun hate watching it. But let me do Halo. Let me in there. Let me. That'll never happen. So were there any other topics on your list, or did we hit everything?
Lastly is Kenobi.
Oh God! So what do you think of Kenobi?
So it's for me, unfortunately, fine to bad. Yeah. So okay, my history with this is like I never wanted more Kenobi. Why are you doing this to me, Star Wars? So like ever since Return of the Jedi ended, I was like, please tell me what happens with these heroes next. That's all I want to know. That's all I want to see. And then like I remember the news leaking out, George Lucas wants to Kenobi's back. So I'm like, what the fuck? Why? Like we know what happened. And then like he did it anyway. And then like I'm like, all right, let's just get it out of your system so you can see what happens next. And then like it took over for 20 years. And now we're getting more Kenobi. And like I still barely got good Luke Skywalker. And now with finally getting new Kenobi shoved down my throat, it's not even that good. Which once again, they've purchased my time. I'm not going to not watch Kenobi.
Yeah. Because people wanted this for a long time. And to Ewan McGregor's credit, he has aged perfectly into that role. It's such a shame he doesn't have good material.
And to his credit, like how much he did say that he could give a shit about coming back. When he came back, he's crushing it in each one of his scenes. Like, he's really fucking good.
Yeah, I would not discredit his performance. It's just...
I was going to say, that's the only good part that is consistently very good. Like, when he acts, like, it's brought to my attention that how good of an actor he is. Like, and then the rest of the show around him is just struggling to keep up. And, the thing that really killed everything for me, Baby Leia.
Yeah,
you did that.
There
are
moments where she's like kind of cute, but then she's like teetering to that line of insufferable child.
Yeah, she does cute to mostly snotty, but like you have failed the moment you did that. I never want to see Baby Leia. Please take her off the screen. I don't want to see Baby Luke even. I don't want this. Don't make her into a doll. Oh God, you're making Carrie Fisher, it is so sick to me. Like the corporation kind of emotional manipulation that they're using around Leia, when just let Leia's story end, make some new stuff, please. And now, and then also for me, it stinks of like continually trying to up Leia's Jedi importance and continue to downplay Luke Skywalker's.
Yeah, they are. This is like I hate to go into that, like manosphere, but it does feel like this is like the backdoor the backdoor Reva pilot, which now there's rumors that she's going to get a TV series. Yep. Even though the other rumors said she was going to be killed off, but I guess she has a redemption. Maybe gets killed off and then gets resurrected, like Shennick Shard did, where she gets shot. Who's that? Boba Fett. Fennec, yeah. She gets killed off in the first season of Mandalorian, and then they put some robot parts in her, and she's good to go. So maybe that's the plan for Reva. She's going to get some robot parts and then go on her own adventure.
And then, like, what's the question that would have once come to mind is, but, like, when you go across, like, Twitter sphere, everywhere you'll see Star Wars fans congregated. For the most part, like, she's not liked. We don't want more. But we now have like it's the stream wars. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter if they're popular or not. All they care is about the next thing that's coming out, and that's gonna happen no matter how good or bad it is until we stop watching.
Yeah, they manufactured that narrative perfectly because, like, I mean, she's like fine, but like not like a. Super interesting character. She's got that sense of like all the other Inquisitors are like weird, scarred people or weird aliens. When you have like the, African American woman who looks just fine, it's sort of telegraphing to the audience that like she's going to be a good guy, or she's going to have a heel turn, or not quite be able to be as bad it can be.
Yeah, like for me, like whenever I always I don't like it when you turn bad guys into good guys. I don't, because for me, unless there's some mind control in there, if you've crossed the line and found joy in murdering or killing innocent people, that's it for me. Like you're out. Like there's no.
You can't have a good redemption arc. Like, Jaime Lannister had one of the best redemption arcs.
True.
And a great, and how many fucking manga has like the previous villain come back?
Oh
like,
yeah, I don't like it when like Vegeta's my gold standard of like, I don't think we should ever forgive him. We should never allow him in anyone's house. I've seen the episode where he was eating those lobster people and he was pretty happy. No, I don't care how much you apologize after that. You're out, Vegeta.
Well, here's my great counter argument. What about Buggy the Clown?
I remember, so Buggy, I remember him being a goofball when I first saw him. He's still kind of silly. Would you say, did we see any evidence that he has killed or tortured innocent people?
That I couldn't say. He tormented a town, but he didn't really, as far as I know, he didn't kill anyone.
But like Reva, when she was about to do what she was about to do to Leia,
she was about to torture a child.
Yeah, this is not the first time she's been to a rodeo of torturing a child, it looked like. So
you're kind of curious how she comes back from that.
Yeah, I would love it if she could, but in this day and age, like the way it's written is, they'll just say that, nah, she's good now. Now she's good. She's good now. Don't worry about anything else. She's good now.
It does feel like the Kathleen Kennedy woman power hour. You got that Deborah Chow is like the director / showrunner. You got the Princess Leia storyline, and you've got Riva, who's kind of like getting backdoor piloted.
I feel like in the producer credits, I am not seeing like Filoni and Favreau. I did see Kathleen Kennedy's name in there, though.
It's interesting to compare it to Book of Boba Fett, which was also kind of like terrible in its own ways, but at least it was like having fun with the Star Wars and felt like mashing action figures, which there was a joy in. This feels like the most aesthetic level of Star Wars storytelling, with quasi leftist, light leftist pandering, because you can't go all the way.
Kind of like the movies.
Yeah, but also just kind of like just aggressively mediocre. Or some of it's decent, but most of it's kind of like aggressively mediocre to bad. Like that terrible scene where baby Leia gets kidnapped.
God, because like the entire time I'm like, all right, come on, calm down, Keith. Just let this let's let maybe there's a way to change my point of view to see this as and then like she's doing what probably to maybe a little kid looked like a really cool slide to get away from him. So I'm like, all right, maybe this is. I hate this so much. I don't want to look at baby Leia and find out that at age 3 she's as smart as a 37-year-old. Okay, like I just stop fucking doing this. And then also once again, it's the meta of like, so like we're all here because Luke Skywalker saved the goddamn day. Well, God bless him and Mark Hamill. But then, like, in the movies, they turn him into Jake Skywalker. By Rise of Skywalker, the person training the future Jedi is Leia. And, like, dude. And then, like, the whole reason why Obi-Wan is looking over Luke is because that Leia is on an entire planet that can protect her.
Yeah, she's got like a powerful senator.
Exactly.
That was always the definitive reason.
Yep.
And
then like they do that one line that was very telling to me, which was like, they're asking Obi-Wan to go save her and leave Luke defenseless. Anyway, and like she's just as important as him, as if like anyone was trying to say that like the male character is more important than the female character ever. But they tried to change it into that, and they did. And no, like they weren't having Obi-Wan there because Luke is a boy. It was because like, yes, Leia is surrounded by a freaking planetary army. She should be okay. So
yeah, whatchamacallit, agreed.
So yeah, we get that. The it's the nasty cat. For me, it's the nasty Kathleen Kennedy meta, and then using surface level Star Wars, and then the people we love in Star Wars are barely being what they are. And also, it's people being too tied to IP versus great art. Because another thing, I don't want to see Darth Vader on screen anymore. Please, like you're devaluing him.
Yeah,
as he in the original movies, like he's shown, but like he's like the fist. He's like the thing you fear and get past. Now he's a Power Ranger villain. He shows up each episode to not succeed, and it's just like bringing him down, and then like his armor, how he's wearing his cape, it all just looks so
The worst thing I think you could do with Darth Vader is have him interact with like lore specific characters, because then that puts like he can't do anything of consequence to Obi-Wan or Baby Leia, or he can't see Baby Leia or have any consequential interaction with her.
Yes, that the main problem with prequels in general, which I have always hated and wish they would stop doing, but yeah, we were a little too trapped within IP versus worlds and fun toy boxes that can be remixed into believable other stuff. But like, yeah, I think the thing is like, it's not just us anymore. They don't have to appeal just to the people who care about world building and character design and whatnot. Like the final thing that like, well, not final. It was a thing that woke me up as to what was going on with Star Wars when like on my Facebook, I'm just like, so yeah, what the fuck is going on? And like one of my friends was like saying, I just like Star Wars, Keith. And I mentioned back to him like something like some detail about like science fiction, world building, and he goes, no, Keith, I just like Star Wars. And that combined with this time, another friend, I was showing her a Mauler video and going through the equations and like caring about lore and character development and whatnot. And she was like, normal people don't see this, Keith, right? I'm like, what? It's on the screen. And she's like, no, Keith, like when normal people watch a movie, they aren't really watching the equations of like storylines and structures equaling to something great. They really are watching something just to feel. So like when you like when they just sit down just to feel and they see like Captain Phasma come on the screen, even though Captain Phasma never actually did anything important.
Oh, Captain Phasma is the biggest waste of time. I remember until 2015, they were like, people were like, yes, it's so great that they got a woman for this role. It was like, yeah, finally, Gwendolyn Christine. There's enough women in the cast of the new Star Wars.
I was a huge, and I maybe still am, but like at the time, I was a gigantic Gwendolyn Christie fan. I was all into Game of Thrones, and in Game of Thrones, like everybody's like kind of shit and whatnot, like, but she's like the only character that acted like a normal fantasy good guy. And she played the role like she's really fantastic. So I was like, I couldn't wait to see her become a real Star Wars character. And you never got to see her face on the screen, and she didn't do anything. But
that was like the biggest waste of time character. Like you give that to a man, because that was the most thankless role you could have ever asked for.
Brutal. I don't know why they did that. I really wish because like yeah, they had Gwendolyn Christie. So that all happened, and then but the thing is like how other people see it. It's not about the equations of like what she matters and how she adds up in the story. For normal people, shiny stormtrooper feeling, and then that's I think that's how we're getting just more Star Wars, whether it's good or not. It's in the pipeline.
I'm curious to see how long that'll last, because that showdown between Vader and Kenobi, that was the definition of mediocre. It felt very Sci-Fi Channel. He just kind of shows up.
Yes.
And also, one thing I was kind of curious is,
as you say this, a GIF just appeared on my screen of Kenobi smacking a stormtrooper with his lightsaber like a bat, because it bounced off a stormtrooper. Because they don't have
what is the point? What is the point of Hayden Christensen playing Darth Vader? Because like James Earl Jones is still doing the voice, right? So so Hayden Christensen just puts on the armor? Is he just like a stunt double?
I have a feeling and hope that we're waiting for a finale of like forced visions of seeing the two actors talk to each other.
Well, is he gonna like take off the mask and we're gonna see like a scarred Hayden Christensen? That's the only reason I could justify having him there. If you're just gonna do the James Earl Jones voice,
I think if they don't end up doing this, it is going to be, oh my god, how much can you guys mess up? But like what I think is going to happen is like by the second to last or last episode, we're going to see Hayden just looking like Anakin Skywalker again. And like through like a force vision, him and Kenobi will talk, and that would be the big payoff to finally see them on screen together again, I think. But if they don't, and like it's a waste, and we just get to see Hayden once, that's gonna be sad and heartbreaking, to almost Luke Skywalker potentials of disappointment and wasting an actor.
So what do you think of the Andor trailer, though, in regards of Star Wars?
I think that I don't care at all about Andor at all. Like when from the moment it has been announced to now, I'm just like, why? I don't care at all. Like we saw his story from beginning to end. I feel like we're spinning our wheels, and like one of the only reasons is like, Rogue One is the only one not like universally hated. Like to me, Rogue One, because it wasn't awful and hateful to Star Wars, people call that the good one. But yeah, I don't need more. It seems like it's more Star Wars stuff.
That's what it really does seem that way, and it's got this like weird sort of like I don't know, like down and gritty, fascist fighting, Republican smashing vibe, where it's like, oh, the Imperials are coming, but there are no like neat aliens. It really does feel like it's like the Star Wars made for the hashtag resistance.
Yes,
I'm morbidly curious, but it feels like it's like the film for the character nobody asked for, or the TV show for the character nobody asked for, telling the story nobody asked for. And I'm just curious to see if anyone shows up, or what's going to happen when that rolls out.
It almost doesn't matter if people show up or not. Like I said, like as long as something comes out, it just comes out. And yeah, because like it like all that stuff doesn't seem like it's reliant on buzz or ratings. Like the Discovery gets to keep on going, Picard gets to keep on going. So yeah, like to me, like eventually we all have to try to start doing the old ways of like sometimes Star Wars, you will not be able to afford my time. I may not always give it to you. And
the Kathleen Kennedy fire hose of content.
Yep, I will need to watch. I can't wait for Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon. That I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, where they're just going to be giving balls to the wall to make his own Star Wars.
Yep, where he like I've said before, like George Lucas couldn't make Flash Gordon, we got Star Wars. Spielberg couldn't make Bond, we got Indiana Jones. Now we have it with Zack Snyder, can't make Star Wars. What do you do? What do you do?
I just hope it's better than Army of the Dead.
I hope so too, even though I liked Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead, I agree with like all those flaws, but to me, like I enjoy him. He's genuine, even when he's fucking up. So I just have fun.
That is true. There is something very pure about Zack Snyder.
Yes, like, that guy is, even when he's fucking up, he's loving what he's doing, and that's always fun for me.
Yeah, I'll give you that. That does like kind of like make him. I just wish he would find like a really good writer to team up with who could like craft stories that appeal to his sensibility. Because all of his best stuff is when he's like working from like a really good template versus when he's like gets to dictate it on his own.
All right. So I think are we pretty much got covered or anything? I think
I think so. Yeah, we're like nearly 2 hours into this. I think we've covered all the bases. I guess one last thing I'd be curious to ask you about is, because I agree with all that about Kenobi. The narrative is. What do you think of Miss Marvel for the first episode?
Oh, okay. And was I rude? Did I not ask you in return for your full take on what Kenobi, how you felt about it?
I think it's passable to mediocre to bad. All the things that the reactionaries are saying about it are true. I kind of hope it didn't suck, but it kind of is. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's also like not great. So it's just kind of like this bleh of mediocre. Where it's not quite offensively bad, but it's not like noticeably good, and it's got like basically it's the worst mode of storytelling for Star Wars, which is the acceptably media or the you boys are already gonna watch it because it's Star Wars. Now it's the girls' time to shine.
Yeah,
which
I've been noticing that mentality for quite a while. We already have you.
You're gonna watch this stupid shit anyway.
Yeah,
now it's time to
stupid shit anyway.
So, you have to, which is happening a lot in male dominated media, just because like geek culture is which is we talked a little bit about Sarah Z. She had made this video about the rise and fall of geek culture, which I just watched because as far as I'm concerned, geek culture is still dominating and still a huge force. But then at the very conveniently placed at the end of the nearly hour-long video, she mentions that like this isn't so much an examination of geek culture being living or dead, but like the geek culture of the 2010s and how all of the pillars of that era have all kind of run their course, like Joss Whedon, whatchamacallit, Game of Thrones, have all come and gone and kind of imploded on themselves. So that and Big Bang Theory have all reached their natural recourse. But obviously I was watching like, all right, geek culture is still going strong. What are you talking about? It's like, okay. Yeah, there you go. You won with the clickbait.
But yeah, real quick, like to you saying like the we already have women's turn. Now watch this ship is like Kevin Kennedy kind of said that actually, and it's the corporate world. Like it's not really about corporate social justice. It is that like they feel they've locked down millions and millions of men, and we have the money. And corporations only go toward growth. So there's like, I remember there's like a video where Kathleen Kennedy's like, yeah, there's also 1 trillion women and we don't have any of their money. So why aren't we trying? And thus we have the back and forth of like making sure we get everyone's money.
True. But I guess my counter argument,
through pandering.
You're pandering, and how many of those normcore girls are? Did you ever see that video I did about Star Wars where I interviewed the Yelp people who I worked with and asked them if they watched any of the new Star Wars movies?
Yes and no. With my YouTubers, I use it specifically like just I come to your videos only to be with you. So like if one of like my YouTubers brings in like guest people to talk. It always puts me off, so I didn't see the good message.
It wasn't a long segment. It was just basically like I got all these like sort of like basically these girls who were like as normcore as you can get, as mainstream as you can get, and I asked them, do you like Star Wars for Rey? And most of them like still did not give a shit about Star Wars.
Right? Yeah. So like I think you said this like when we were talking about Halo. Like I said they're trying to get to a bigger audience. Are they though? Are they like like how much has new demographics started like showing up at the comic book store to follow the books or buy the action figures? And
there's this fantasy that like if you bring it they will come, and I'm sure that there's some girls who love Rey and love cosplaying her and really love the new characters, and I'm sure there's someone who's like doing Reva fan art and Baby Leia fan art. But I don't know, it doesn't seem like it's been so significant that it's like moved the needle in like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like a breakout character. Like what we'll probably see with Everything Everywhere All at Once. I feel like we're going to see a lot of Michelle Yeoh cosplayers and fan art.
Yeah, and I think it's from like right now,
or Squid Game,
huh?
Or any of the characters from Squid Game. You've seen them break out and become like various. One of them have been cultural icons. Like whatchamacallit, the tough North Korean girl is kind of like a fashion icon. The animatronic robot, the old man, have all kind of become like these sort of breakout characters that have been reinterpreted and remixed and reinvented as they've become a part. But so far, I've not seen anything of like this sort of like girls get it done characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It sounds like the genuinely giving a shit. You can grow your audience and demographics if like you make something where you genuinely give a shit about and it's really good. But then like there's the other kind of art which says, I have your attention no matter what, so I'm gonna do what I want. And you're like, okay, and now they get organic advertisements to people who would not normally have known Kenobi was back on TV by doing like racist articles. Like through all those articles, now like millions of people who have not given a shit suddenly care about Kenobi.
It is the most insidious marketing scheme where it's like, now you have to support our mediocre product because it's part of the hashtag resistance, and you have to. I really wish I could talk to someone who's like in PR who actually like proves that some of these things are manufactured, of turning something into a cultural signifier.
Yeah, because I was saying like, as a black person myself, like. I encounter racism and no articles get written about me. And like I was saying, like how my friends like, yeah, like I'm sympathetic if she's getting harassed by people like that sucks. But like,
once as we all have to say, obviously I don't think she deserves any harassment.
But the thing is like, once you reach a certain level of fame, seeing that stuff is going to become 100%. No matter like who you are, if you reach a certain level of fame, you're going to be seeing some shit. And that's just like, it's part of the job. Like you have to not care. You can choose not to care about this section, but like, yeah, if you're famous, you're going to see it. And like other people, black, white, who've reached similar levels of fame, they've seen it as well. But like, they don't have a cultural movement around them that advertises their TV show.
I'm sure Jimmy Rings probably doesn't want to look at his Instagram feed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jimmy Rings has seen some horrible things, but no articles around it. So like, yeah, it's like to me, it's like, that's fake SJW to me. Like, if you care about racism, you're supposed to care about it every day, all the time, for everybody, not when it's you need an advertising boost.
Yeah, which is where it gets all very icky, and you have to have the right opinions, or else you don't get you get to go on the corporate websites and watch out. You have to have the good opinions, or else you don't get the sponsorships. Yeah. Which is, I guess, why I like the new season of The Boys, because The Boys, for whatever reason, is allowed to like poke back at that.
I'm actually Ms. Marvel. I am not. So I saw it and I think it's fine. My ex had a daughter, and I fully saw like being the daughter. We love movies and geeking together, and like I get to see through her eyes like the kind of stuff that young girls, or at least her, likes. And
what did she think? Because I saw half of Miss Marvel. I'm probably going to finish it up after we're done with this conversation.
I could be wrong, but this looks exactly like what she liked. Like it's constructed for a kid or person like them in that age group, where like how the characters interact and whatnot. It is like some of the TV shows that I used to watch with her. So it's kind of like, I get what they're going for. They aren't making this for me at all. So I'm okay with like not watching it, and I don't even have to really have that much of an opinion on it. Cause like it's like, if you don't like country music, then what is really your opinion on this country music song?
So from what I've seen, I thought it was fine. I thought it was really cute.
Okay.
I was like, more towards positive, leaning so far from what I've seen. I think it does. I think it was really smart on their part to like kind of cast kind of like a not like a the hot Mia Khalifa kind of Islamic girl. They intentionally went for like the very chubby, very believable girl, which I thought was like a really nice touch. And so far it's been really cute. So I so far I don't have any complaints other than like one thing I would love to see that I know that they'll never do is considering that the whole having a Muslim superhero is really important, is like, what do you do? And some of the comics, I don't know if they ever do that, but like, how do you rectify having a religious faith in a world where there are deities that walk among you and literal Norse gods that like trample over your belief system? Where you actually have living proof of the supernatural.
That is legit science fiction that they have no desire to ever sit down and ponder. But yeah, like, with what you're saying, like, I fully agree. Like, when I'm, like I said, like, it being for a different demographic, when I say it, isn't an insult. It's well done for someone else. Like, for me, I'm seeing good stuff on screen. The actors seem quite nice, fine. I love Scott Pilgrim, and that being done. It's just like, this is yet another MCU TV show that I'm not dying to continue to watch.
It doesn't quite have that narrative hook. We'll see. I'll probably be locked into it for morbid curiosity, unless it like really drops the ball on something. Because as I said, I only watched. I'm locked in for the boys, but for this, I only watched half an episode before coming here. I'm gonna finish it, and I'm morbidly curious to see but everything I think is doing well. I don't think it's as strong as like something like the Spider-Verse, which also had that kind of like in your face aesthetic. But I think it's I haven't seen anything objectionable. I think the idea, it gets the teenage angst very well. I'm curious to see how they handle her powers since they got rid of the Inhumans and the stretchiness that she originally had. Which can I just give you a minor rant? There's nothing funnier than the Ike Perlmutter like Inhumans, where they were like trying to push them as like the new X-Men because Ike Perlmutter was such a spiteful bastard. He didn't want to give any promotion to the Fox X-Men movies.
I remember this, and like I watched like can they pull this off? Because let's see them try, because they're really pushing hard to say that the Inhumans
push
are the
so
next
hard.
X-Men.
And from a surface level, you could say that like it's the same bullshit. It's just people who, just a different explanation for their powers, but they're still oppressed. They're still kind of weird, freakish powers and whatnot. And how do they integrate in society? Same shit, except for they have like a royal family, and they did not succeed in pushing it. So it's just funny that like, the Inhumans. One day I want to make a video about all the MCU, not MCU shows that were run under the Marvel TV banner under Ike Perlmutter, like Cloak and Dagger, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Runaways, the Inhumans show.
And Agent Carter, which is brutally underrated. Agent Carter is one of the best shows I've seen, and no one gives a shit. Like, I'm sorry, like, really quickly, another thing I want to talk about that, well, I won't go in too far, and like, every time I see Captain Carter, I snort. I go, no, you don't deserve her. If you don't watch Agent Carter, where Agent Carter was amazing. She's like a superstar waiting to happen, and
I'm surprised that show like didn't take off as more than I thought it would.
No one cared. I tried so hard to get all my friends into it. Me and my girlfriend at the time were watching it, and like we were just like every episode we were just like, okay, so like really, how good can they do with this character that like no one really cared? Oh my god, is because like the show to me was like Indiana Jones meets The Rocketeer, and like Haley Atwell has the charm and likability of a Peter Parker. It was amazing. So sorry,
and she's got those that wonderful her secret weapon, that pillowy cleavage.
Oh, she's beautiful.
She's gross. Yeah, she's a gorgeous woman. That obviously doesn't hurt. It's amazing that never like quite took off.
Mm-hmm.
But what was the original point I had? I'm
so sorry. Yeah.
No, that's fine. My mind was wandering. But I think Miss Marvel's like perfectly fine and sweet and everything it needs to be. Oh yeah, her powers. That's what I was sort of talking about in Inhumans. So like they retconned her powers, so I'm kind of curious to see what her new powers are, and I'm morbidly curious to see how she maintains her Muslim faith. But it seems like it's taking more of a boys' direction, where like the superheroes are like movie stars. She's obsessed with movie stars versus like literal gods that contradict the teachings of the Quran.
Oh, you know what? I've gotten really sick of like watching things along with the rest of humanity because I don't want to do any kind of political fighting over like if a show's good or bad. So I stay away from The Boys a little bit for that reason. And now like it feels like nobody's talking about The Boys anymore. So now I'm kind of excited to go back to The Boys right now. And to me, I think that The Boys, what you're describing, sounds like it is the answer. It is the Image comics to Ms. Marvel.
Oh yeah. It 100% is the Image comics to the. Does it hit all the time? Not 100, but I've been enjoying the most recent season. I think it's been really strong. And I think it is kind of like the Image comics. That and Invincible has been like the Image comics alternative to the sort of bland cut and save Disney stuff.
So yeah, I'll be in back. I'll be going back to The Boys pretty soon. Especially I'm glad that it's away from everything. I just want to watch the show and let it stand or fall on its own. So yeah, I think we should start wrapping up.
Yep, I think we've definitely spent a good time. I should probably go get something to eat and get something accomplished today outside of doing some fun talking.
Yeah. I'll make myself some dinner. So, any final thoughts on Doctor Strange and the attack of the multiverse?
I think the multiverse is a tool. It can be used for good, like Chip and Dale. It can be used for bland, like Doctor Strange. It is all just a matter of the creators. Make Chris Lord and Phil Miller be responsible for everything, and then we will have no more problems.
True. And I'll say that, multiverse can be good for you, good or evil. I think we are in the middle of like what comic books used to be. Where a lot of people get into IPs and then like creative teams change, and that can wake you up to it not being the IP that you're following, but creative teams. And that more and more I'm noticing how much it feels like my time is being purchased, and I'm not sure how much I'm going to continue to just give it away. So like I'm not Star Wars, I'm not sure. And Star Wars and MC, and like it's already happened with the MCU. It's no longer guaranteeing my attention or viewing because it's not always good, which is how comic books were. So
true. That good old pull list. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Hell yeah. Isaac, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
Lobster Magnet. Hopefully I'll post something soon. I got this $400 microphone. God damn it, I gotta put it to good use. Woo! But I don't know. So sometimes when the muse is not flowing, the scripts don't flow as much. They don't flow like the spice should.
Gotcha. Okay, I hope you find your inspiration, and I look forward to the next video. And
thank you.
Your word, man. You can find me on Twitter at Keith Hayward. I'm on Instagram at KeithJustice, and you can find this podcast and more on popgeeks.com. Thank everybody for listening, and we will see you out there in the multiverse. See you later.
Of madness.